a can of worms. I thought that was cool when I first saw it.
Little main spin.
Well, yeah, I was like, oh, about to open a can of worms.
I think it needs to be can, space, AH, worms.
Yeah,
like a main thing.
Yeah, like put the
give us some
apostrophe thing after the can. Right. I guess like I don't know how that works. I don't know proper main. Proper main. I don't know proper main at all.
That's a good business name.
Proper main.
Yeah.
That is for like what, high-end clothing. This is Portland on it. That sells for fucking way too much.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of snobby for weed.
Yeah.
Proper main. We
Good
rolling,
on
Jake?
my end, yep.
All right, this is episode 2. We got Bobby from Hive, longtime friend, kind of business colleagues, I guess you'd say. I didn't start as early as you, but kind of watched the whole thing come up. And so I guess you can just start at the beginning, kind of where you started, I guess, before this.
I was born in Florida in 1985. That's where everything started.
How long were you there?
1 year.
Oh, so you don't?
No. Yeah, no, my dad sent my mom up to Florida, said, yeah, I'll be there. No. He pulled the old bait and switch on her. But her family is up here, so it was like one of those things where, you know, she was more comfortable up here anyways. Way too fucking hot down there.
Yeah, so you guys move up here, and obviously my guess is like things probably aren't the most stable when you get here because there's no plant.
Right, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so my family's from Pittston. My whole family was all out there. So yeah, we just had a little trailer across from the Pittston Fairgrounds for like quite a while, you know, until I was like, I think probably 7 or 8. And by that time, my little sister was born. And we moved out to Gardner, right out in Central Gardner, to a house that was like pretty beat, like didn't even have a shower in it or anything. So like, yeah, like until I was 17, we lived there. So that's where I met some people who are like current in my life, and I work with like Joey Blaze and stuff like that. We were all from this same little like corner by Prairie Street School. And so, yeah, then we moved back to Pittston when I was 17. We got like a new trailer, and you know, like it was sweet, and that's where my mom still lives right now.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, as far as that type of stuff, but yeah, of course I went to Gardner High School, graduated from Gardner High School, and then did a little bit of college, a little bit of partying, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, until I was like 20, and then I went into the Army.
Was the decision to go into the Army kind of like, you got to make a change? Was that it?
That's what my mom said.
And you just were like, I'm going?
I was like, well, what kind of change is that? And she was like, you should go to the Army. And I was like, no, please, I don't want to do that. Right. You know, when you're at like been doing the college life and been like having fun with all of your like friends and like girls and all that stuff, you're like, dude, the Army, what do you mean? You know, and so she's obviously looking out for my best interests, which I definitely appreciate now for sure. But yeah, it was more her being like, dude, you gotta do something, because like this isn't working. And so yeah, then I went down and I enlisted, and yeah, man, it was definitely the Army. No doubt.
And looking back, obviously it was a good decision.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. Like the Army was a great period in my life. Like I met some of the coolest dudes that still inspire me to this day, and that offer me support in different ways. So like in that sense, it was definitely like sweet. But the work, you know, the constant kind of them owning you, being above you all the time, that part was definitely just didn't mix with my personality. But I mean, I made it through it. I was field artillery. We shot like the big 155 cannons, like, which was sweet, you know. And I was in Fort Carson in Colorado, and so I actually didn't start smoking weed until I was like 21. So that was kind of a thing where right before I went to the Army, I started smoking weed, and then I had to quit to pass the piss test to get in. But like, if you smoke weed, you can't just stay quit. So yeah, I mean, in the Army I smoked like some of the most weed like when I was in the Army, like for sure.
Damn.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like me and like 3 of my friends that were in my unit, like we smoked blunts every single night, like every night, but it wasn't without like anxiety and like, having to play the game, and what the game actually was to pass the piss test in the Army. What you have to do is you have to take one of your pubes. You got to keep them in order to do it, but you got to take your pube, you got to contaminate it. So you got to like take your piss, drop your pube, put it back in, then the test can't come back positive because of the fact that it was contaminated. It could give like it could give the wrong result, so they automatically push it out to the side. So I went like this for almost 4 years, like in the Army, like smoking, like having a great time, like don't get me wrong, like having an awesome time, and not being like ridiculous or crazy, but just like enjoying my time through the Army, especially in Colorado, who it was just coming up on the medical scene, like they had just started with all of that when I was in the Army. And it was actually crazy. A dude that was getting out on medical leave got his medical card and was like able to smoke while still in the Army legally. Like it was all good, because he was getting out in a few months. But regardless, yeah, that was a really cool time in my life too, for sure, just being in Colorado and being a part of that whole kind of scene on the come up.
Right.
And then yeah, man, in my wife Amber, I mean, she's been with me throughout all of this. We got married while I was in the Army, so
What year were you in the Army? What year was the first year when you enlisted? Was that
it was like late 2006.
And you met her
in 2005.
Okay, so she was with you when you made that choice.
Yeah, like we were like dating at that time.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And was there? So that was all the stuff in the Middle East was still going on, like ramped up at that point, big time.
Yeah, for sure.
So was that ever a thought in your mind, like?
Yeah, I just assumed.
In her mind, and
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we just assumed that would be a thing.
Right.
Just because, why wouldn't it? But that was like, when you're like in the Army, like that's like part. You're like assuming that you're gonna go do that.
Right.
So, in that sense, it wasn't really like a worry. It was just more like, that's gonna suck when I'm gone, and she probably would have went back home, but I didn't end up, my unit didn't deploy like that, so I didn't end up needing to go. So it was a blessing all around, because
right.
I mean, granted, I would have loved to have done that with him, but like, I don't need to. Then I didn't really plan to from the get-go. I wasn't going in there to deploy. And so and yeah, I don't like claim I deployed or nothing like that, because it's not even, that doesn't matter, I mean, when it comes to like being a veteran, it's about the brotherhood and that type of thing. So as far as like, were we worried about it? Yeah, but then like, nah, it didn't even really matter.
Well, they don't probably want you over there if you don't. I mean, you need to go, like, you need to be 100%. If
right.
You're going over there, they don't want you thinking that maybe you want to be back home.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So it's probably better, you know what I mean, that type of way, because that takes those type of people, like, those type of people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
and they're dogs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them in this industry, and they do this different.
Yeah.
And it's probably a good thing you went to the Army, because it gave you structure, and a lot of the people you're probably hanging out with, that's why they were in their position, is because they were never taught structure.
Right. Yeah.
That's why so many people lose what they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
And so you probably got that base built.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It definitely taught me some discipline. That's
right.
like, the biggest thing was the discipline and teamwork, for sure. Not so much leadership, because Army leadership style, I already tried that. That shit does not work. Like, I was like, oh, sweet. No. Normal human beings don't want Army style leadership. And, I'm glad I was able to learn that early, so I could really develop as a leader myself, and then bring my team, to where we need to be. But so as far as after the Army thing, I've always been huge into cars, so I pursued like some car stuff, and just building cars and I moved to Tennessee with my childhood best friend Randy, and so we were doing car stuff there and whatnot, and it was like a year. It had been like a year since I got out, and I was just kind of ready to come home to Maine because it was just like so fucking hot in Tennessee.
Right.
It's crazy. It's like they only go out in the summer, like we only go out in the winter,
right.
like when they need to.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I wasn't too into that. So we came home, and that was, in late 2009. And
in Tennessee, what were you doing with the cars?
We were modifying them. Like we had some right-hand drive cars. We would modify them, for other people or, for ourselves, and, get into the magazines and whatnot and do that whole thing. And out there, I met these guys named Don and Amari, and they ended up creating this huge car show. So I was a part of like the early beginnings of them pushing that and really trying to get that to be built into something that a lot of people came to. And now there's over 30,000 cars that are coming to this event that they created way back then.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see just like that come up, and
totally.
It gives me a kind of a little bit of a path to follow on my own just by witnessing it.
Yeah, and that stuck with you for a while, the car thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's like definitely still a part of me. It's just like not quite the right time, like to be focused on that when I have it. And it's almost like the car thing really gave me the build mentality that I needed to create like this business, because you're always, when you're doing the car thing, and I know the car dudes will totally be able to relate, like you're in a constant build. Even when that thing is done, there's still something else that you can do. And that's exactly how I feel about like this business, is that I can feel like I'm done, but I know there's still more that I can do, even if it's something small. So I feel like the car thing definitely kind of fueled my, want to always keep doing the next thing and not being kind of satisfied with like, okay, cool, it's there, I'm good type of thing.
Yeah, I think that's just something that some people are born with, that it's just like, all right, I did that WRX, but look at what we could have done. And you need to justify that for yourself, because no one's going to do it.
Right. Oh, for sure.
So you got to like, you're like me, you don't want to ever wonder. It's always going to be, you've seen dudes that eats alive. What if only this would have happened?
Right. Yeah.
So, so you came home. Is that when you jumped in
to this?
Yeah.
So as soon as I came home, I did like what the Army taught me, and that was get a job. And I started working for the post office. So I was a city mail carrier for the U.S. Postal Service, and I did that down Lewiston, down like Oxford and Lincoln, and like just the worst streets like in Lewiston for sure. Like I was the new guy, so I got like, man, it was like crazy, like the smells and like the sights, and like it was crazy. But all the kids were like so positive and happy, even though they were like just had the worst of situations. Like it didn't affect them in their like kind of, their spirits, what I mean? So that, just seeing that and being like, damn, like, wow, kids can be happy like this, kids with all this stuff don't even seem this happy. So it was definitely kind of like a little eye-opener, just like delivering mail in like downtown Lewiston.
So you must have had some interesting encounters.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, mostly positive, because I'm like the mail dude. Like, I'm bringing bills, they all know that, but I'm also bringing checks. Right. So like that makes me a friend, to anyone.
100%.
So yeah, no, never anything negative, just some like, just some indecent things, and just little things, older ladies not being shy, that type of stuff. But like that's all good, like that was cool.
It happens. And when I had similar run-ins when I lived in Portland, and when you hang out in those communities, you just learn, like, I reference it all the time, like, it could be a bad day, but it's not a bad day. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, and then you feel bad, and for me, I want to help. You know, and it's like, what do you do? That's the hardest thing. It's like you look at it and it's like someone should be taking care of them a little better, you know?
Yeah.
Some
for
of
sure.
it is, some of them it's not their fault.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I agree. Like, there's definitely a situational type thing. You know, some people make bad choices and then end up in a certain situation, you know, but other people make the best choice that they were educated throughout their lives, and that choice still isn't even able to get them where they need to go based on, obviously, opportunity.
Yeah.
If you don't ever get opportunity, you can't do anything. You know, all you can do is just keep trying to go forward.
And it's a part of like the way I think is like, not that you or I have reached the peak of anything, but like our job is to look for that and try to apply that. Like if you can give that dude a shot and he runs with it, that's the problem. Doesn't get complacent, like that's how you make the state a better place. Like if you seem, and I know you're supportive of it, but like the bad things that happen to the veterans when they get home because they don't know what to do sometimes. You know what I mean? And you're just like, hey, dude, let's start trimming.
Right.
And he goes with that, and he goes back into Army mode. You know, Army probably taught you, I'm trimming, I need to do it perfectly and as best as possible, not fly through it.
Right.
You know? And like, that's what I think a part of, you know, it's important for me, and I know it's important for you to look out for. You know, it's just like, give that dude a shot.
Right.
That dude that shouldn't have a shot.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, we've been blessed with the opportunity to give opportunity.
Right.
So it's kind of part of our duty as people that maybe wouldn't have necessarily gotten an opportunity if it wasn't for this industry to give it to other people. And so, yeah, that's kind of a thing, like, with me, is I try to find people that graduated from the same school as me, just to, like, give back to what raised me, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, consume more of those people that came out of there. And so, yeah, everybody but one person that works for me graduated from Gardner. So, and we employ 9 people, including the person that doesn't. So, I mean, it's like 8 of us, you know, all from Gardner. It's like pretty decent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, that's part of that, being able to give opportunity. And then when those people realize that you gave them that opportunity, they give back, like, immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And so come back from mailman.
So basically, what happened is that, I was a mailman, like I said, Lewiston. And so I created... so I knew I wanted to do more. Like, there was no way I was just going to be a mailman. Like, there was no way. Even though I lost 30 pounds, that was dope. Like, but besides that, it was like, you know, not much benefit here. You get paid whatever, $24 an hour, like, pretty decent, but still, you know, like, long term, you know, like. And so I created a grocery delivery company called Gorilla Grocery, and I worked like day and night when I wasn't delivering mail, trying to create the website and the whole thing, get a catalog. Had to go into Walmart and Hannaford and catalog all of these products in order. No, for real. Like, I just wanted to do it, and like, there was no like legal weed at this point. So, you know, so then create Gorilla Grocery and quit the Postal Service and start doing Gorilla Grocery. And then they reformed the marijuana program, like, directly after, like a month into running Gorilla Grocery.
And you're still smoking at this point?
Yeah.
So you were...
I'm just getting it from friends.
Dude.
Yeah. So, yeah, one of my, like, high school friends, like, grew it in his apartment, like, down in Falmouth or something. And so, yeah, and, well, basically, he introduces me to the fact that growing in the house and stuff is even a thing. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is pretty cool. And then, like I said, the program then gets kind of revamped, and now you can be a caregiver and all of these things, and there's actual paperwork. So at that point, we sold Gorilla Grocery to a guy like in Waterville or something. I don't know what he did with it. Sold that, bought it was 4 hoods, 4 of the air-cooled, whatever, max air hoods.
Right.
And we started running them up in the spare bedroom of, like, the apartment I was renting with, like, a flood and drain set up with, like, kiddie pools, like, with plants in them, with timers and totes as reservoirs, and just everything that, like, this dude that I was working with that taught me about it and the internet told us. And we just, like, at this point, grow store is not really too much of a thing. We're trying to use, like, all kinds of stuff to raise and lower pH and order stuff off the internet. And
Vinegar.
like, yes, oh yeah, for sure. And baking powder, baking soda, whatever.
Yeah.
Things I would never even think about really doing right now. And so basically at that point, we're, like, just starting, and it's definitely not great.
I'm guessing you had permission from your landlord?
No, hell no. But so, at this point, caregiving just became a thing. We applied for our caregiver's license immediately, got it back, number 32, like,
32.
Yeah, pretty decent, number 32.
Damn.
Yeah.
And this was 2010?
This was late 2009.
Right.
Yep. So, like, November 2009. I
Yep.
still got, like, all my paperwork from back then.
That's
so
sweet.
yeah, I kept it. So, whatever, frame it someday, do
Yeah.
some shit. But yeah, basically, so at this point, we got the apartment grow, and I'm downstairs. It was pretty cool. Like, the basement was finished. It was like a bar, and, like, it was pretty sweet. I'm down there, and I'm smoking with my buddy, and all of a sudden, it's like waterfall straight through the ceiling of this place, dude. Just coming. It was like a white ceiling tile type thing. It's just flowing, and I'm like, what? Oh shit, the reservoir, and it's just, like, pouring down through. And so at that point, I was like, all right, I got my caregiver thing back. I'm legal. Like, this is a legal thing. Like, I'm hitting up the landlord. Like, she was this lady from Rhode Island that was an accountant and owned, it was like a duplex type thing, and she owned the other apartment for when she came up from Rhode Island after tax season. And so I was like, look, can I just grow in this spare bedroom? She's like, no. I'm like, damn. I'm like, can I grow in the basement? She's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, what? All right, cool, let's do it. So I started trying to figure out what to set up, because at this point, the friend who originally told me, now I'm able to create a setup, like, as big as him, and so I kind of got to do my own thing and figure out how I want to design it and all that. And so yeah, we, like, built out this basement, bought shit. We had no idea what we were buying, multi-zone, like, HVAC units. And at this point, my original friend who taught me how to grow introduces me to Tom. And so that's when, like, I started learning more, because Tom knew other people who knew more. So it was like, as well as the forums, like, I was on the forums, active member of the forums, and learning online, but this was like a real knowledge base, like a real dude that knew stuff that more than my friend knew, more than I knew.
And he could show you.
And he could show me, and he was, like, pretty decent about it.
Right.
And so I start kind of working with him. I got my thing in my basement. It's working pretty good, but we want to do more, so we look on Craigslist, like, find place, where else can we grow, because I'm growing in at my house, and he's growing down in Wyndham, and so we're trying to do a third one, like, combined type thing. Like, no idea really what we're doing. We're just going to put it under one of our wives' names or something, And so anyways, rent this place in Belgrade, this house with a big basement and stuff. And, dude, not but like 4 weeks in, this dude, Tom, leaves the back door open, and not open, but unlocked. And there was a scam going around at that time where people were renting places on Craigslist and then telling the people that, like, they would overnight them the key, that they were out of the country, whatever, these scams. People were falling for this one, dude, because before this happened twice, somebody came out to the door and they're like, hey, yeah, like, we're here to look at the place. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, the owner said that they're in England right now, to just come, that you would let us in and check it out. And I'm like, did you send the, yeah, $2,200. I'm like, you sent this, I'm like, the owners literally live next door. Like, so anyways, that happens again, but we're not there, and the person checks the doors and it's unlocked. He goes and he finds the bedroom in the spare bedroom And this person is like, oh, illegal cannabis.
Yeah.
And then goes downstairs and finds all of the white widow plants, you know, 28 white widow plants. And he chops the tops off all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, they were like week 8, like, you know, 2 months in, whatever. And we, so we come back. Well, first I get a call, and it's the MDEA, and they're like, hey, Mr. Rosso, you know, we're here at this address in Belgrade. Did you move, you know, your grow, or did your wife, you know, whatever? And I confirmed it, and they're like, okay, cool, because we were about ready to come in, you know, because there's whatever police here. They called the MDEA before they actually went in. So when I got there, the police went in with me, you know, and then they checked everything out. And it was like such a weird situation because everything checked out, so it was all good. They didn't want to do anything, but like the dude just kind of like to come in and cut the plants down, and it was just a wash, you know, at that point.
Who cut the plants down?
So the guy who thought he was going to rent the place, he just cut the tops off them.
Right.
And supposedly brought them like to the police.
Where was he during this whole thing? Was he gone?
I wasn't allowed. Yeah, I wasn't allowed. Like, it wasn't a thing where I could like be. Yeah. It was a weird situation. So, regardless of that, yeah, I know. It was weird at the time for sure. Especially, you know, this is like 2010, and the cops are like calling me about a grow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you calling me about the grow. Like, what do you mean? So, you know, but everything was good. It's just we had to lose out. So we immediately pulled out of that place and stayed back to our own grows at that point. And, you know, it was kind of like a learning lesson for sure. Like, because I had kind of invested a lot of time into the place and a lot of work. So we didn't really get like robbed, but we definitely got like, I don't know, we got shafted.
Yeah, it would have been easy to quit.
Yeah, for sure, especially, you know, just like losing out on that, which we had both, put
Banked
a lot
on.
into.
Yeah,
for sure. But it was a good thing because it obviously brought the next opportunity.
Right.
You know, which for me was Mark's Lane in Gardner. That was the warehouse over there.
Right.
That was like my next step after that place.
So it must have not been long after. Well, it's probably like 6 months to a year after Belgrade that I had met you.
Probably two years, because after Belgrade, I did like a small section in the warehouse on Mark's Lane, and I had opened Extreme Graphics and Apparel.
That's right.
And that was my screen printing and sign company that I opened in the beginning of 2012. And so I probably met you like 2013, probably. I would think.
Yeah.
Because I was still involved with Tom. We were still, you know, sharing knowledge and whatnot. He went and built this grow down southern Maine, and I stayed in Mark's Lane. He was originally from the Augusta area, and I was obviously from Gardner, so it had made sense. But once he moved down there, we kind of faded a little bit.
Yeah.
So I ran Extreme, and I met one of my really good friends, Mike Dowdy, as you know him, down in Portland, because I had also with Extreme started Shop Chronic, which at the time was like just a t-shirt company.
Yeah.
And so I met Mike. He was printing my shirts down in Portland, and I brought him up to Gardner to work with me at Extreme, and so he was my printer for that. And so we had the small grow going next door to Extreme in the warehouse. It was only 500 square feet, super small.
I'm sure you had more than enough going on at that point. What made you start a whole new company?
For Shop Chronic?
No, Extreme Graphics.
Extreme. Because, you know, like being in this industry, especially early on, came with a lot of uncertainty. So, like, to me, that meant, like, I don't know how long this is going to last. Like, you know, I have, like, 5 patients. My wife has 5 patients. Like, but how long is this going to last? So to me, naturally, having that drive thing, you know, I felt like I was at kind of a crossroads. Like, I had a basement, I had a warehouse, you know, with part of it. Like, what should I do now? Let's start this.
And at that point, there wasn't, or it hadn't been seen, like the massive like warehouse industrial setup. You're like, this is it. This is what I can do. I'm going to do this. And then the next thing you know, some guy's like twisting whatever he needs to, so you can, you look and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Or you thought about that, going bigger, like, what can we do? Laws are obviously slowly changing here and there, but like everyone's kind of like dipping their toes further and further and further, and then off to the races.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much how it was. It was like a stall. Like, we knew that there was humongous warehouses. We knew that, and then we knew that there was a lot of like grows our size, and so it was kind of that, taking the first step towards the larger size grow. And so that's what Tom did when we like kind of split up a little bit. Tom went down south and got like an old shellfish factory type thing and blew it out with these huge plants, and that for sure opened my eyes to like how much bigger that I should be going or could be going. And so at this point, I've had Extreme running, and it's a great business and it's supporting the community, and it's like not bad, but we're also doing a lot of small one-off orders, and it's taking a lot of time, and I'm starting to see the balance not making as much sense as far as like the cannabis is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
So Mike wanted to go back down to Portland. That's where he's from, like Gardner, Portland, two different things. I was like, all right, you know what? Let's shut this down. Let's see if the Gardner landlord will let us blow this out, make 2 more rooms, do whatever we need to do. Landlord ended up saying yes. So we moved the screen printing press to my mom's basement, and we're printing our Shop Chronic shirts out of the basement there. So Mike was driving up from Portland to Pittston to, print the shirts in my mom's basement for Shop Chronic so that we could keep that going, because we were having like, hundreds of orders a week, just like shirts, just going out the door USPS. So we had to find that balance too.
So where did the idea for that come from? Like the Shop Chronic thing is like, start with one shirt.
Yeah, dude, it's hard because like there's been like so much like all in a short period of time. Like, so I had like during this time I had a blog called Cannah Chronicles, and it was reviews of pieces, just opinions, and then also I would go to Amsterdam and I would meet up with these at this time like not as popular breeders like DNA Genetics, or Karma Genetics, or people like this, and I would interview them for Cannah Chronicles. And so what Shop Chronic originally was the like shopping part of Cannah Chronicles website. So it was like Shop Chronic,
right.
Shop Cannah Chronicles type. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but what ended up happening was the site got like hacked, or something happened with the site, and somebody wiped the whole thing clean, and we had like so much work on this website with articles and all this stuff and interviews from these people, just like reviews of events and everything. So all that got wiped, but we still had Shop Chronic. So we're like, all right, we're just going to go with this.
Right.
And we stuck with Shop Chronic, and we came up with a few ideas for the initial designs. Mike printed them the night before the event. We went out, we sold all of the shirts. We didn't have any left to come home with after 2 days. So it was like, let's just keep doing this.
What was that like, that feeling? Like when they started going? You're like,
it was
because you show up and you don't know, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. You show up and you don't know, and you're like, these are cool, but like, do they think these are cool? Like, I think these are cool. Are they cool? You know? And so that weekend they were cool, and they ended up being cool a lot more weekends. We were the most popular booth at the Boston Freedom Rally 3 years in a row. We would walk away after those 2 days with 15, 16 grand in t-shirt sales.
Damn.
Like, just like hustling shirts, like. And so I had a team of people helping me at this time with Shop Chronic, and I had a designer, I had obviously my print guy, I had a sales guy, everything, packaging guy, web guy, the whole deal. And so when we get to the Hive thing, you'll see how I'm able to put these things together, because I already had a team doing all of these separate things like a while ago,
right?
So we we'd have the whole team. We'd go down to Massachusetts, the Freedom Rally, sell all the shirts. We'd go down with 8 huge duffel bags full of shirts and come back. We sold the duffel bags too. Fuck it. Like, so it was like one of those things where that feeling was sick. You know, the first weekend was sick, selling, you know, whatever, 100 shirts total and thinking it was awesome. But, you know, selling 1,000 shirts in a weekend was like sick, you know, or whatever. So yeah, Shop Chronic, that kind of trained me also, you know, going through those things, trained me how to promote and market like the next company, you know. And so, yeah, that was a fun thing because Shop Chronic is where we got like our Taylor Gang affiliation and like the whole Wiz thing and all of those type of things. Shop Chronic is actually what facilitated that, because one of the guys saw one of our shirts and they needed tour shirts, but like at this time in their career, like they're trying to front the tour shirts. So like no real company is fucking with anybody trying to front anything in that business, t-shirts. Right. But I know who these dudes are, and so I end up Mike starts printing Wiz and then Chevy Woods tour t-shirts for the tour, and they take them and sell them and then pay me when after like the show when they would get the money. So it started out as that. Before like I'd even really met them like or hung out with them, I was like fronting them shirts, you know, through Shop Chronic, and for fronting it in return, you know, we would also send them a bunch of Shop Chronic shirts, and then they would wear them, and then obviously that would gain attention for Shop Chronic. So it was like a matter of just fronting something, taking a loss, like, because yeah, I mean, it was hard at that point. Like I couldn't just front, you know, like a couple hundred, 400 or 500 shirts, you know, for not, you know, but I did it, and it did pay off because they would push so much, you know, traffic to our website. Right. That's how we're getting all those hits. And so, yeah, that was cool because that started that relationship, and it just really kind of developed from there. But, yeah, starting Extreme was like a kind of a remedy to my anxiety about what was going to happen with the cannabis industry. Because at that point, there was so much back and forth and so much, you know, there was just so much that you couldn't rely on it, even though it was right there.
What was the thing that made you put your foot on the gas when it was like with just growing? You know what I mean? Because this is obviously taking off. You could have probably quit growing at that point and just gone all in. Yeah. You know what I mean? But there must have been a point, like a rule change or something, when you're like,
Well, so what happened kind of was like Shop Chronic came to like a screeching halt because I had a partner, and like my partner and I didn't necessarily agree on certain things. Like I definitely, when it comes to like a business that we're building, like I am putting all the money back into it, or into the customers. And so because I had weed money and I didn't need to rely on Shop Chronic for anything, I'm building that company and constantly reinvesting. However, my partner didn't have weed money, and that's a big difference. You know, not even weed money, but financial security so that you can outlast the startup. You know, a startup at anything, even a weed company, is definitely demanding. So financially, you know, for the company. So came to a screeching halt, Shop Chronic, nothing, you know, it's stopped, you know, because he's the web guy. I can't even like do it without him.
Took the wind right out of your sails.
Yeah, pretty much. So as far as at that point, you know, I was like, all right, now what, you know? So I get back into branding and pushing Kennebec Healing, and so, you know, like I do that for a little bit. And, you know, at that point, it was like, all right, got to get a bigger grow for Kennebec Healing. And that's when we found our cultivation spot, our current one. And so it was kind of one of those things, you know, it was like, what's the next step? I mean, Gardner was like too small, and even getting the other half of the warehouse like we needed wouldn't have been enough. So we knew we had to find something else. And so that was when it was like, we've outgrown Gardner. There's nothing else to do but to do more, you know?
Right. And you've already proved it to yourself. I mean, I'm guessing Amber was all in your wife was all in day one.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty good about being agreeable and just supporting like that stuff, you know. She's not like, if she thinks something's like really, really risky, you know, she is like the type that like doesn't necessarily want to be super risky, but she definitely is a supportive type, which overrules, you know, the anti-risk.
You guys have earned that trust from each other. Like, you're not going to do anything that is detrimental.
Right. Yeah.
So if you believe in it, I mean,
yeah,
you know, that's, you know, having a wife or having a husband, that's your job. If they believe in it,
yeah, you got to buckle up and hold on as long as they're not being too reckless.
Right. If you trust them, though, you know that they know you're gonna, you know, try to make everything work.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, obviously, I kept like hitting like benchmarks,
right,
and you know, constantly moving. She probably couldn't even keep up. And that was probably why, like, it was all good, because she's probably like, wait, what's up now, you know? And so that was like, you know, definitely crucial, having her support, right, just throughout the whole thing, and never having to battle to make a decision, you know, for our future in that sense.
It's one thing where they learn really quick that there's gonna, like, especially in the beginning, the longest of nights.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sure. Like, I remember being over at Gardner with you till 1 a.m, I think, messing with an AC. Like,
for sure.
And they understand, but like, you know, it's like, this is detrimental. If tomorrow doesn't happen, then this is detrimental.
Absolutely, especially in those days.
Right, especially in those days. And like, there's so much. It's so hard all the way around. Like, if this was a normal business, when Gardner was running, you could have gotten a $2 million loan, I bet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And in this business, it's like, no.
No way. No, you have to make it happen. And there definitely are real sacrifices that had to be made to get to this point, for sure. I mean, there was a lot of fun, a lot of cool times and whatnot, but like a lot of sacrifices, right? A lot of late nights, a lot of missed time with my kids, like,
right,
things like that, to get to the point of feeling like, you know, you're starting to like really get there, you know.
And there's no half and half, you know, right, what I mean? You can't just, I'm gonna spend half a day with my kids and half a day with the grow.
No
if
way.
You want to compete with what's here now,
right,
you know. And then especially like you said in the beginning, it's like, I got work all night so I can go to Funtown tomorrow.
Right.
And then everyone's like, why do you have a case of the ass today? And it's like, I'm sorry, you know, but I'm worried about that, and I'm overtired.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Because in the beginning, it's like, people came and went.
Right.
You never know when was going to be the day.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely. Yeah, there was a lot of doubt, a lot of almost, for sure, insecurity based on like what was next, you know, every time. Right. Yeah, a lot of paranoia, and not even because you're high, but just because of the fact that like you're in like this halfway kind of legal point.
Is my door gonna get kicked in? You still had that in the back of your mind. And then I remember right about that time you told me a story about a kid fake DEA.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, now your heart's racing big time, because once one does it, it's like a thing now. Like, they got away with it. They know it's in Maine. Warehouses are just starting. I'm gonna find a warehouse and do that, because you can someday take away a lot.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And by the time you figure it out, or by the time you report it, those dudes are long gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, definitely that type of thing. I mean, getting robbed or getting like that, you know, it's never been like a focus of mine. Right. Like, it's kind of like, that's just shit. It's so lame. Like, I mean, but it's definitely a real thing, and a lot of dudes do get screwed over by it, and I definitely wish that on nobody, but it's never been like a super extreme worry.
Right.
Not that I'm inviting it.
No.
But you know, I mean, I take all the precautions, but like, I don't lose sleep over that type of thing. So But yeah, as far as, yeah, I mean, there was, before Vassalboro, you know, like before the big grow, you know, with the small grow, there was getting like my first employees, you know, there was a lot of little building blocks. You know, obviously I'd managed Mike like at Extreme, but my best friend Randy from childhood that I mentioned, he moved up from Tennessee where I was at after the Army to help me out, and so that was cool. That was kind of like checking off a box, you know, for me. However, like I was definitely immature in my manager like mind, you know, like 100%, and I definitely absolutely couldn't differentiate like friendship relationship versus work relationship, and it ended up like coming to a head, you know, like when he had a child, it was just like, you know, things finally kind of came to a head, and he went his separate way, and I just kept on chugging. And so I ended up finding a kid that's in the National Guard, and I had hired him, you know, because getting out of the military, and I'm like, damn, my fucking leadership didn't work with like my friend, maybe it'll work with this dude, you know. And Brad, that was the dude's name, he helped me really refine some of my managerial skills just by being a good employee, you know. And kind of not, I don't know, showing some weaknesses when you have to like take the wrong approach about, you know, being a leader. So you know, I had Brad when I was at Gardner, and he helped me, as well as my buddy Tommy. He helped me build out Vassalboro. So that was like my team for the build out for like that grow, right? Which, as you know, that's still the one that we use today. So you know, with some upgrades for sure.
That was a massive deal, because I had seen definitely grows that bigger, but the meticulousness of Vassalboro, I was like, this is legit. You know, it was one of the first ones I went into where I'm like, this is like over the top. You know, this is something you see a picture of. I was like, this is unreal. Well, that's my first thought, is like, okay, well, I better do something.
Yeah, for then, like, yeah, for sure, you know, for that time. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely sweet. Like, I did a lot of research, like a lot of, like, I put a lot of work in, just as far as like with the products and everything that I use. At that time I was running Aptus, obviously, like a lot of people were. And so I flew out to Holland, and I met up with Frank Hubin, who is the creator, the owner of Aptus Holland, and like then he also is part owner of Dimlux. And so I met with him, you know, and chatted with him for hours and hours in a coffee shop in Amsterdam, just learning about, you know, the lights, learning about the nutrients, learning about, you know, just different ways to tell how the plant is like speaking to you, you know, whether it's testing plant sap or obviously, you know, the different identifiers, you know, of your leaves and stuff. It was really cool to meet the dude who came up with the idea for the nutrients that you're using, and then also hear about how different Aptus is in Holland, and how its trip to the U.S. turned it into a weed nutrient company, right, when it's actually an agricultural nutrient company. You know, like as far as like, you know, they use it on flowers, they use it in big fields. You know, it's not, it wasn't just for cannabis like you would think.
And I think I remember hearing he made it in his backyard.
Yeah. That was sick. Like the sickest story. Like his friends were growing cannabis. He didn't even smoke cannabis, right? His friends were growing cannabis, and he had education on plant science. So he was like, dude, your plants need this. And they're like, dude, shut up. You know, and he's like, no, look. And he made it with old Pepsi bottles. He mixed different like chelated nutrients in order to whatever, you know, get his mix, and then gave it to him. And they're like, dude, what the hell was that? You know, and so I can't remember what he told me Aptus stood for originally, why he named it that, but it was just like one of those things that was like real humbling to hear, like the original story of these things that are producing your crops, you know. And so yeah, I mean, that was really cool. We were getting ready, you know, to really go in on Vassalboro and try to make it what I considered, one of the best in the state. And what, at that point, I knew that we would be voting on rec, you know, and I wanted it to be a kind of a model, you know, at that point, you know, and things have progressed so much now, like that thing is like aged, you know, but still, like, that's why I built it out to how you're saying, like, very detail oriented. That's a military thing. Like, the saying is attention to detail, teamwork is key, you know, and I definitely take that in both senses of the matter, you know, so that's where you get those little touches that, like, stand out in the long run.
Yeah, and you're really good at holding people to a standard, like whoever you hire.
Yeah,
you know,
try.
It's very important to, like, this. No, dude.
Yeah.
How many of those have you had, dude? No, that can't happen.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't mean, you know, because somebody wasn't a fit for us that they don't fit for somebody else. It's just like, I just do things a certain way, and the way that I do those things has changed, like, over the years. You know, like, I definitely was a lot more hasty and a lot more, like, quick to jump, you know, like, when I was a little younger, you know, I mean, like, there's no training. Like, I went to college for, like, TV production, you know, so, like, I can shoot video, but, like, managing dudes and running a business, like, definitely not it. But I definitely love weed, and I love the weed, like, community and just, like, the whole thing that goes with it, especially then, like, especially back then. I mean, I love it now, don't get me wrong, but like, then it was so organic, like, like, attending, like, you know, I've been to 5 Amsterdam Cannabis Cups, so, like, attending those and then being with it through, like, the last Amsterdam Cannabis Cup to, you know, the Colorado and the Cali Cannabis Cups, and they just turned so commercial and so, like, inaccessible. Like, dude, I could talk to anyone, dude. Like, I've talked to everyone, you know, especially when I was doing the blog. Like, they were like, oh, a writer from America, yeah, we love you, you know, like, talk to us, write about us, like, we know it's coming there, you know. And so these were the biggest names in cannabis at that time, because there were no names in cannabis in America at that time. Like, people forget that, like, you know, 10 years ago there was no, you know, Jungle Boys, there was no Burner, there weren't these, like, things, you know, or, you know, whoever you want to name, but they weren't the guys, you know, like, those original genetic sounds from, like, Amsterdam and Holland and England and stuff from back in the day, those were, like, the dudes, you know. And so now you couldn't even touch those dudes. They wouldn't even be in their booth, you know, all of that stuff. Like, the Strain Hunter dudes, like, those dudes were the coolest dudes, and they are the coolest dudes, but they were the coolest dudes in the world to meet, because they were, like, doing, like, the dream. They were hunting land races and like, coming home to talk about it, and, like, you know, rubbing hand hash in Morocco, and, like, these, like, kind of old school, really dope things in the cannabis, like, world, you know. And so meeting them and, like, going to Amsterdam and like, kind of seeing everything progress, that's why I say, like, back then it was dope, because it was, like, it just wasn't so big.
Do you think a part of why they were the way they were is, like, you know how it is in the beginning, like, you gotta prove yourself, you give it away, you want to talk, you give people that extra minute, but the second success comes, usually it's like, no, I need to make time for this dude, because this is a lot more important than maybe someone I don't know, you know. So that's probably
the come up for sure. Like,
but you got to keep that somehow. That's important. You do. Somewhere, somehow, you need to give that dude a little bit of time.
I agree for sure, because that's what keeps the connection.
Like, and it's what keeps you human. You know, you see some of these guys, they think they're up there, and it's like, why? What is it? You know what I mean? It's like crazy. It's like, why you're not going to talk to that guy just because because he's a random dude? You know, you gotta...
like the ego, me and Aaron, like, who I'll talk about in a few, but we talk about, you know, with mushrooms, like, at one level when you do mushrooms is ego death. That's what's called, is ego death, because you start contemplating all the things that you find deeply internally wrong with yourself, you know. So
or you freak,
yeah. Right? Yeah, and you freak because it's too much. And so some of these guys just need a little bit of ego death,
like
you know
5 grams of shrooms.
Yeah, 5 or 6
Dude.
grams of shrooms. You should hit ego death and then chill the fuck out a little bit.
I think we should be able to find each other in the industry. 5 grams. You're acting like a fool. 5 grams right now.
Yeah.
I don't care where you are.
Some of these dudes.
You got soccer practice? 5 grams.
5 grams. Yeah.
That was ignorant. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, and you know, I can't say like, dude, I had a like ego-ish problem. It's a developing thing, but it was because like especially back then, like all of a sudden I was exposed to like so much money that like I'm like a dude from a trailer, you know, in Pittston, like graduated from Gardner, like, you know, I don't know, nobody told me like when you get this money, you know, so your ego and things, you look short term and you're like, oh yeah, look at me, you know, and maybe you make certain purchases or do certain things and you're like, that's like feeding that ego. And it's because you're looking at it in such a small scale. You don't realize, like, you really don't realize, like, it doesn't matter what weed guy, like, you're still only this, if you're a weed guy, I mean, you're still only this big in the grand scheme of things. So it's like not that you deserve to have an ego if you're Bill Gates, but it's just like, I can't get with that. You know, I probably could when I was younger. You know, there is a lot of younger guys, like, in the industry, and that is something, and not that I'm like an old dude, but like that is something we have to remember is like we've seen a lot, you know, that they haven't. In this industry, the second you get there, it's like the next 24 hours. The second you start thinking that this is the way it is whenever you're on one, 24 hours goes by and like your light timer stays on all night. You know, it's something like that. Oh, your reservoir's been overflowing for 48 hours. Right. Or whatever. Yeah. And then you're like, shit, I need to stop. That needs to go away. This is what's important right now. No. You know what I mean? Because all those other things take so much time. Yeah. Away from this. From the end goal, yeah. And they really didn't affect it as much as you worked yourself up. And it's like, dude, I'm an idiot. Yeah, for sure. Like, I just let this run me. Right. Yeah. So yeah, basically, like I said, Shop Chronic, Screaming Halt, you know, starting getting into Vassalboro. And so from when I lived in Tennessee, I had a homie down there who, long story short on how we met, we both had right-hand drive cars from Japan, and we both lived in Nashville but didn't know each other. And we were both headed to this like meet like down at this restaurant, and we were going down through the highway, and I like looked over at this car, you know, because I could hear the exhaust, and like looked back, and I was like, what the hell? Because it was normally the person driving would have been right beside me because you know, they're in left hand, I'm in right hand, and this person's in a right hand drive car, and I'm like, what the hell, you know, because like I was one of the only ones in Nashville with the right-hand drive car. So anyways, we met up at the meet and just, you know, became cool at that point. He smoked weed, I smoked weed, and so yeah, I moved away from Nashville, obviously. You know, fast forward to where we were at, you know, I got out of I was still in Gardner, but like I was starting to get out of Gardner, and Aaron came up, you know, to spend the weekend with us and was like, oh dude, that shit's cool. And you know, he came up another time or two, and I went down to Nashville to visit you know, friends a time or two and hung out with him. We'd smoke like footlongs in his Bronco. Yeah, he had like one of the Broncos like where the top's not on the back or whatever. Sick. Oh dude, it was so sick. Yeah, and so, you know, that was just like our little ritual. And I went down for the Import Alliance, the car show that I told you my friend started. And they did one in Atlanta, and so it was on 420, and normally on 420 I would be like, you know, Amsterdam or trying to do something like that, and so I was like, Atlanta, all right, fuck it, like I love cars still. So we went down, and of course I brought a shit ton of weed because I'm like the weed grower, and like, you know, you're the dude. Yes, oh for sure. They're expecting it, dude, for a lot of people, you know, show like, up dry, see what happens. Yes, so So I rent like a Yukon because I didn't have a car down there. I was just going, and Aaron and his girlfriend came with me, and we ended up getting gridlocked in fucking Atlanta traffic for 6 hours. Oof. Dude. Okay. We were smoking joints, sitting on the hood of the cars.
Damn.
Like, just in traffic, like, traffic didn't move. I'm not talking, like, our gridlock, like, I'm talking, like, stopped.
Yeah.
Dead stop. So it was, there's probably 30 of us total, like, going down in this convoy, like, all the sick cars. And I'm in, like, the Yukon, and they're all surrounding me, and we're just all there just smoking weed in the middle of the highway, like, just loving 420.
That's pretty wild. Don't you wish you had a picture of that shit?
Oh, for sure. But like, we weren't even trying. Like, it wasn't even like that. We were
like a
just
drone shot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But like, we just wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because
totally.
we were missing a party. So, anyways, we get down there, and the big thing for these IA things was you would rent out the La Quinta Hotel closest to the event, we would rent, but the whole thing.
Right.
We would rent out the whole hotel. So this whole hotel is all car dudes. Because like I said, you have at these smaller meets 10,000 people coming. Like, so renting out a whole hotel ain't shit.
No problem.
So anyways, it's 420. We got the whole hotel, dude. The whole top floor, dude, is the smoking floor, dude. And I'm the guy. Because none of them, they all got bushweed, man. And,
oh, yeah.
So I'm the guy rolling up the big footlongs and, like, all that shit, rolling all my weed. Dude, I don't know how we didn't end up with the Georgia State Police, dude, because we had, like, on each end of the hallways, we had those windows open with smoke just bailing out. Damn. Everybody's doors propped open, walking in and out smoking, like, in Atlanta on 420.
So illegal, then.
In, like, 2013, maybe?
Yeah.
2012.
I'm surprised you weren't shit in your pants.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, thinking about it now, I'm like, dude, I would not even smoke in my room in Atlanta.
No way, not then, right?
Right, and not even that, but like, like, shit, getting robbed, or anything. Like,
anything.
Like, we were accessible. Our rooms were open. We were hanging out. Yeah, it was crazy.
Probably a lot of shit. Yeah, just around.
But also, the whole hotel was us. So every parking space was a sick ass car.
Yeah.
Everybody's watching out for each other. You know, like, the cops do a circle around, but like, they know there's too many. So
probably $1 million plus worth of cars.
Yeah. So that was just another experience with Aaron that, like, built like up to basically. Brad was fast forward, we've built out Vassalboro, and Brad was gonna be going to training all summer for the National Guard, and Aaron had been coming up once a month or so up until then. And so I was like, dude, you want to sub in for Brad while he's gone or whatever? And so he did, and slept in my camper.
That's
outside.
Right.
Yeah, he stayed in the camper for months and months, and just like stuck it out.
He seemed like he loved it.
Yeah, and he was cool about it, man, because he just, like, he gets the vision. Like, he understands it. So he's like, yeah, dude, like, I'll sleep in the camper. I don't care. Like, I'm going to get to, have an opportunity at this, even for a few months. Like, hell yeah. So, because in Nashville, there is no opportunity like that. In Nashville, you're going to jail. So it's like, something he's always wanted to do, but it's like an arm's reach away. Now he can do it. So yeah, no, he was totally imperative in like not having a huge loss when Brad went away. And so, yeah, I mean, that obviously worked out really well, because now he runs Capital Cultivation, which is our cultivation facility. That same one that we're talking about that we built out.
Right.
So it's like, that risk of having this guy from Nashville that like was my smoking buddy, because just as easily that could have worked out not this way.
Yeah.
He could have not been willing to work. He could have been not willing to make the sacrifices you got to make. And
you definitely could have lost a friend over it going bad.
Another one.
And it's not just go back to where you're from in Maine.
Right, it's back to Nashville, and
that's it's tough.
Yeah, and it's pretty much the same situation I had with Randy,
right?
As far as bringing you up, like, I really don't want to do this, but like, we've tried it out so much, and yeah, that wasn't like Randy's deal, as far as like, he was coming up into an unknown also,
totally,
and he ended up going his own path. in being successful and runs his own lab now. So
And-
it's like,
Yeah, he's like talented, like mechanically, right?
he is, yeah. And so being like my grower's assistant was never gonna be like Randy's end goal. He was like destined for more, especially at that time, you know. But I think Aaron is perfectly suited to be my like cultivation guy,
Right.
you know, for the long
He's
haul.
got it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And he cares, and he pushes through shit that a lot of people would just be like, all right, dude, I quit, I need to go home or whatever, and he pushes through it and figures out the solution. So that to me right there is just priceless, because if somebody just wants to say fuck it and go home, you're going in.
Yeah, you're going in and something's getting really screwed up.
It's so, you know, that's kind of the thing, taking risks, because that's pretty much what got me, you know, to this point. It was all risk, whether it was, you know, leaving the post office or smoking in the army or whatever it was, you know. Bringing on Aaron, it's a risk, but for the most part they definitely have been paying off.
Well, if you were gonna start Hive, you had to take the risk because you couldn't do it without him.
Right.
You know,
sure.
You need that dude now.
Yeah, without him, definitely not. It wouldn't be possible, for sure, you know. And then, I mean, so he came on, and then my buddy, I grew up with his brother, but I grew up with him. My buddy Adam, he was working like a outdoor job, and you know, it was coming to be winter, and we needed help trimming and just building and doing some of the plant work. So I took him on, and he came on just as like an all-around, you know, dude.
Yep.
And but you know, that really kept us from needing anyone else. We could keep it in, you know, and that's
Right.
a gardener dude, like I said. So like, and I'd known him, so we're good at this point. And so I mean, at this point, like, it's kind of like we got two dudes at the grow, there's no store. You know, it's me and Amber, and we're just kind of, it was that time, dude. It was like in between, like, it was right when we're getting voted in for rec, you know, like, we're hoping there's something cool next, but not quite sure.
They just changed the rules, so it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but there's a rule change when everyone was like, oh, go time.
Yeah, that one was in 2018.
Like,
so,
when you didn't need patience anymore.
Yeah, that was December 13th,
Unlimited
2018.
Yeah, so there. Yeah.
Right. So this was a little before that, and you know, that was when I pretty much like got into the UTV stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah,
started
that's
doing
right.
that, and because I need something to build.
Right.
You know, like, that's like my thing. Like, I need something to build, and so I joined up with Randy, actually, and he is a funny story, but he ended up having another child and kind of like put this to the side. But me and this other guy Pete went with it, and we created a UTV racing series around Maine that like ended up having, you know, 50 racers at it. We like, and so the important part about that, though, is that taught me a lot, just as far as like the next step, you know, like little things I had to do through that, like, prepared me to open Hive. Like, pretty much everything prepared me to create Hive in little ways.
Right.
So you know, we ran that, and then also I was going out to Vegas and racing like professional UTV races, and so doing that part of it exposed me to the Vegas cannabis scene, and so that gave me a broader kind of outlook on dispensaries. You know, I've been to a shit ton of dispensaries in Vegas, and so, you know, through this is like a 2-year thing where you know, racing professionally out there, and then running this UTV deal here. And then, as you spoke of, in December of 2018 is when everything was changing, and so I had to put the UTV thing down, because I knew that, you know, the cannabis thing was the A1. Like, there was no anything else.
Yeah, it's your thing. The game's on now.
Right. I've been waiting.
Is the UTV still going on at all, or?
Yeah, like I was definitely the catalyst for it because I have that, drive to make everything that I do like huge in a sense. Not huge beyond the people, but huge like just like as
max
best
potential.
as it can be. Yeah, for sure. And so when I left, like things went downhill, but I mean it's still there and available for guys to race during the summer.
Right.
But I had to put that aside. I had to focus. I'm like, all right, they're gonna let us do this, like we gotta do it. And so at that point, I had to say bye to something that I really cared about to hopefully welcome something in the future. And so pretty much then we started making our plans for the store in Chelsea. We started that in July of 2018 before the rules took place.
Right.
And we didn't open till May of 2019. So it was a lot.
Right.
But I also, as we said, I've been to Amsterdam 6 times. I've been to Colorado and Cali a bunch of times. So, like, I knew what I wanted out of it, an experience for the store. Because that, to me, the product, for sure, like, 100% matters. We all know that.
Right.
Like, that's the biggest thing. But then behind that is, like, the experience and what you leave the customer with for memory. You know? So I knew that, like, when when I went to Colorado or Vegas, or when I went to these dispensaries, like the ones that left me feeling the best wasn't because I got the dankest weed there, because they all had all right weed, anyways. It was not like there was any like super dank crazy weed, but so then it was just the whole overall feel of the store. So I knew that had to be important, because I knew that a lot of places in Maine wouldn't take that into account. And because I had already been to like some of the first ones opening, and I checked them out and seen pictures and stuff and seen the effort and how thought out they were. So, I kind of knew that I needed to take that the next step up, because I knew everybody would take their flower game up or their concentrate or rosin game up. I knew that was going to happen, but I felt like everybody would leave their stores behind because they don't think that's a thing. So that was like the big like learning. I put in a ton of effort traveling and just going to stores. Like Aaron and I went to Vegas and went through, every store. Like every store.
Thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah.
You can't just go in and not buy something. No. But there must have been one that you just were like, dude, this is, or a couple. There's probably a couple where you're like this.
There's a couple, but like I mean, a big one is Reef. That one, just the overall vibe of the store, like really, like appealed to me.
Right.
In my interests, and so. Since it is a caregiver store, since it is kind of personal, I want to make sure my interest came through, so that you understood not just like who you're buying the product from, but who like these people are.
Right.
It's not just this store with the employees working.
No.
And you're in and out. We needed to make sure we incorporated things that like you understood who we were. Right. So, I mean, Reef was probably definitely, and then of course, like they carried the Khalifa Kush, and so my affiliation with Wiz kind of drew me to them, and so I probably spent more time in there.
Right.
But I mean, we definitely did our research, so it was kind of one of those things where it was like, all right, now we need to lay it out and decide what we want.
Right.
Just like a grow.
Yeah.
And so we drew it out like on the paper, and like it's crazy that it's to a T what the store is, like from the shelves to everything is exactly, we did it just by the plan, and stuck to it. And obviously, I mean, it came out pretty decent. So so I mean, it was one of those things where, like I said, everything that I had done like kind of all came together.
Right.
Whether it was like extreme with the walls, you know, or you know, whether it was, you know, Shop Chronic with all the gear and knowing how to do that, you know, or yeah, like I said, extreme, all the vinyl in there and stuff. I never could have been able to do that if I didn't have those prior accounts or experience.
And it's like you seem to take it like really personal when someone that stayed true to you, you make sure to, even if it's a little thing, you know, like all those things have had impact on you. There's a pieces of all those little things all throughout that store. Everybody might not know, but the people that know. You know what I mean? They see it and they're like, shit, that's pretty cool.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like you're one person that doesn't forget.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
No. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a thing because, yeah, it affects, yeah, I mean, it's definitely what makes you,
right.
You know, like for sure. Like, right, all of the little mix tiles we have on the wall of all the pictures from, you know, the 10 years, you know, whether it was me and Rick Roller smoking big joints before anybody knew who Rick Roller was.
Right.
Trying to just make YouTube videos just for fun, you know, or whatever, you know, when we worked with Sierra Price on all the photos, or just things like that that made us who we were. We didn't just pop up with a store.
Right.
You know, it took years and years and years of experience and like just like, I don't know, man, of living to like create that. You don't just like put it up.
It's all a piece of the puzzle and it's all in there. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, for
it's
sure.
It's sick, for sure. And it's like you get the people that every once in a while they must be like, hey, what's that all about?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially, yeah, I mean, especially just like the wall, like our history wall, like
right.
The one that has a lot of personal, you know, type of pictures like of our kids, you know, pictures of us with other people. A lot of people are just like, what, you know, they don't necessarily get it, but then once you tell them, they're like, oh wow, okay, cool, like damn, you got a lot of you know, inspiration here, you know, that type of stuff. And that's like, yeah, for sure what it has been is like inspiration.
Yeah. And it's like you can tell people, it's like that's not now it's when you had your first child, it's not about me, it's not about Amber.
Right.
Now it's when my daughter wants to do something, I can say we're gonna go do it 100% and you have no excuses to not crush it.
Right.
You know, that's what
absolutely.
the business is for now. You know what I mean? The rest is like whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's to give them the next step up and other people the next step up.
Oh, for sure.
I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Right. Like, so with what we were saying with the ego thing and whatnot, like, yeah, oh, dude, I've definitely had houses and cars and different things that, you know, it was like, right, there wasn't a sense of like purpose maybe at that point at the beginning. You know, it was like easy to do those things because I wasn't, well, there wasn't two beautiful little girls at home like that those choices affect, but also it was just, I don't know, man, it was like, yeah, the Wild West, as they would say. So it was easy to kind of be like that. But now, right, you have like, you know, like I said, I got 10 real people that like, you know, count on me,
right?
You know, and so now, and I try to convey this to them the best I can, like, so now it's like, it's not about me. Like, I have like my savings and I have like things that I'm happy, I'm content. Like, it's not about making Bobby like rich or making Bobby fat, you know. It's about everybody eating, you know, so that forever, you know, for the long term. It's about making real careers with real benefits, you know. It's about paying real taxes, like, which, you know, I know some people aren't doing, but like, yeah, but that's like the thing is, from the beginning I've tried to do everything before everybody else. So like, you know, I've been paying taxes for 10 years, so like they know me, they know my number, they get saved, you know, it's all good, like, because of how long I've had to do that, you know. But it's a real thing now, you know, with real goals and like real promotions for real people, and like now, like, other people's goals, my life is a part of that, you know, my decisions, you know. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely crazy. It's a lot of pressure, you know, in the sense of like, it's not just the 2 little girls and your wife.
Right.
It's like, these 10 people who have lives, and their lives depend on you.
And you want them to kill it, not get by.
Right, yeah.
As long as they're not being foolish. You know what I mean? You want to be able to say, hey, no problem.
Oh, for sure.
You want them to have that, oh, we're going to go out to eat tonight, and, you can, don't worry. You just don't worry. You want your employees to just be like, okay, let's do it. You that's what you want to provide, and I feel like that's the disconnect in the industry. Either you're the dude who's up here who disconnects and is just telling the manager what to do. You know what I mean? And you're making bank, and they're barely getting paid and cycling through people. Or you have the dudes that flood their whole company with all the advantages that we now have because of,
Right.
And those are the dudes doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know. I just feel like it's really important in this industry to do it a little different than everyone else has in the past. All the other businesses, you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, just creating that structure where the, CEOs or the people running the company get all the benefits, and the people that are driving the company are getting shit.
I just want it to be friends at some point. Like, maybe I don't know the guy at first, but if he can't be my friend, that's to some level, it's like you want, that's who you want to be surrounded around, people, all your vendors and stuff. You got to be friendly with everyone. If you don't agree with them or you don't get along, how do you do business?
Yeah, no, that becomes super hard for sure. I mean, you don't do business. You end up fading apart.
It's like you said, ego, throw it away. As soon as you throw that away, everything's all right. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then just have real conversations with people, because it's usually just a text, and you're like, what did he mean?
Right.
What did he mean?
He pissed off?
Yeah. What and what? So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. It's like kind of one of those things where it's like there's not, I don't know. I mean, there's enough people, but not enough people in this industry where you can just let your ego get in front of it, because as soon as you start doing that, the people without the ego are like, oh, did you see Ego Dan over there?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Nobody wants to be around Ego Dan.
Right, because he's just pumped himself up so much that he doesn't even notice you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, man, I mean, I think that's definitely, like, I definitely have a great team for sure, in the sense of, like I said, mostly Gardner graduates, but we're all pretty close. We're all... doing things extracurricularly together and whatnot, and that's like another thing. Like, if you ask, like, who's like whatever your inspiration, like, it seems like it would come back to Wiz, but that's because when I was at this certain stage in my career, his music and like certain things pushed me in the way of creating a team that was friends, and keeping it within like a group of people, and kind of taking them the whole way, and not being afraid to give a little, and make sure that they're eating, and that they have the things that they need to continue to grow also, because you're getting those things. So like, they should get them too. As
you level up, you just get, hey, you want to take that step? You don't have to.
Right.
You don't have to take on more. It's fine. But the opportunity's there.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of his music is like, I feel like it comes from a really real place. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
I don't think it's BS. I don't think it's for ratings or for... His music feels like he just wants to make that music. That's why I'm drawn to certain music, is because I feel like it's just what he wants to do. You like it or leave it. People
it's
like it.
Real, for sure.
And I mean, he probably smokes every amount as much as weed as he says he does. And that's what he sings about, and he sings about real shit. Like he probably really takes care of his friends.
Yeah, for sure. And so like Wiz, like, I definitely like know and have hung out with and stuff, like, many a times, but it's not like me and him are like homies. I'm homies with pretty much everybody else. Right. It's like, obviously it's like, it's just like anybody trying to be friends with me.
Right.
Like, it's just hard. It's really hard. So, but anyways, it's like I was the weed dude for all of like New York and Mass and like that whole area, for the past like 8 or 9 years. So like, that's like, you see me like at the shows.
Right.
I'm at every show in that area because like I'm the dude bringing the weed.
Right.
You know, like I'm selling the weed to Young Jeezy's bodyguard. I'm selling the weed to Wiz's drummer. You know, everybody but Wiz, because Wiz has his own, because he gets it flown in. So
right.
like there's a mule that just flies in a pound or 2 pounds,
right.
you know, on certain legs of the stop or certain stops, you know, on the trip, and
right.
just brings him the weed because, yeah, he does want just the Khalifa Kush.
Right.
You know what I mean? He doesn't want to vary from his routine because his routine is what makes him successful.
See, I would totally be down with doing that just for the experience. No other reason. You know what I mean? But, you know, promotion-wise too, it's a great thing, but just some of the stuff you saw and how those people act probably blows your mind. They're probably just like, those are just normal people.
Yeah, like, they're for sure normal people, but, like, yeah, it's a humbling thing. So that's, like, where my ego death kind of came in, was, like, seeing, like, 100 millionaire and how he handles, you know, being a little bit younger than me, you know, like, being worth, like, so much money, how he handles himself, and, like, how you're kind of like, oh, fuck, all right.
I can't say shit.
Yeah, and, like, this dude has this much money, and he's still down to earth and not a dickhead. Like, not, you know, like, he's keeping it 100% real. You're like, okay, there's no need for me to ever get cocky or anything like that, because, you know, you can get confused like that if you're exposed to money but don't see something way bigger,
right?
You know, so, like, but yeah, no, I mean, one time, dude, in Amsterdam, I saw, so there's a guy named Soma, and he's like the Amsterdam legend for mushrooms. Okay, and so I had met Soma, like, at the Cannabis Cup a long time ago, and so, like, I knew who he was and stuff about him. And so I'm hanging out with Wiz and some other guys in the green room out back in Amsterdam. We're all smoking weed, whatever. And all of a sudden Soma walks in, and he's like this 6'5", like, dude with a huge thing on his head and, like, flowy, drapey clothing, and just like that. Yeah. And so he, like, you notice when this dude comes in the room and you're like, oh shit, what's Soma doing here? You know, and he takes Wiz, like, in this back room, and Soma had, no bullshit, 28-year cured mushrooms, okay, that Wiz bought, and I bullshit you not, $15,000 for a quarter.
Quarter pound?
No, a quarter. A quarter, 7 grams, $15,000.
Did you get to watch him eat him?
No. But that's something.
I wonder why that would be.
Because supposedly, like, this strain, like, I'm not, like, a myco, like, dude, like, at all as far as understanding a ton of it, but I do know that this specific strain was one that they had discovered, like, forever ago, and there's only so much left of this 28. It's been there for 28 years, like, because it's $15,000 a quarter.
Is it still growing?
No, it's, like, stored, like, frozen. You see what I'm saying?
I don't know. I don't know the rule. I don't know the things on it, but wouldn't that kill? I think wouldn't that kill it?
Dude, I don't know about that side. However it was stored.
Because it's fungus, right? I don't know what makes you high from it. I don't know what part of it.
Me neither. But I know that, like, their pride on it was the fact that it was 28 years old.
It's got to be legit.
Yeah, I mean, because the Soma dude, any, like, myco heads out there will be like, oh yeah, Soma knows his shit.
Maybe he's the ultimate con artist.
Could be. But so, yeah, I mean, I definitely just had seen, you know, definitely a few different things.
Right.
Like, and, yeah, I mean, my main, like, dude is Big Lon. Like, obviously, that's, like, he's, like, the man. Like, he owns Barter Shop Chronic.
Yeah.
Like, he went in with me. And, you know, when we opened the store last year. So, yeah, he's, like, my main, like, dude, and so he exposes me to a lot of this stuff, you know.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, a lot of those experiences are, yeah, definitely what kind of, like, created Hive for sure, you know. Going out to Cali to the Jungle Boys, and, like, you know, you obviously hear, like, the hype and stuff, and, like, going in there and just getting the vibe and seeing, like, how they design things and all of that, you know, that's where like some of the wall stuff came from. You know, like I could pick all the little bits and pieces. There's in Colorado, there's a place with a display grow called Have a Heart, and so that's where the display grow came from. You know, and I just kind of picked everything that was my favorite and put it all together to kind of create like a main version of all those places.
It's super legit.
Yeah, and so now, you know, so yeah, we obviously built it out, and so we upgraded Adam from at the grow to coming over and working the counter at Hive. I worked it like the first 6 or 8 months straight, like every day. Like I was the only dude working the counter.
5 days a week?
6.
6 days a week?
Yeah.
And you have long hours, right?
Yeah, it's like, then it was 12 to 8.
Every day?
Yeah.
Plus the grow?
Yeah, plus managing all that and stuff. And so, but Adam was over there with Aaron at the grow.
Yeah.
And so we took him out, and at this point we tried hiring like some more dudes over there, and we just kept going through them.
Yeah.
They all just saw the dream, not the work in front of it, you know? So, Aaron had to like run that by himself, like completely for like a hot minute, like
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, that dude put in way more hours than I know about, for sure. You know, just like making sure that, you know, things were gonna be how they need to be and not wanting to let me down.
And he seems like the type of dude that isn't gonna like, probably wouldn't even mention it to you. That
right.
He stayed like till midnight.
No, I wouldn't know. Yeah. I would need to
you
be
look
watching.
At the camera and
right.
you're like, what is he?
What is
dude,
going
why
on?
didn't you call me?
Yes, exactly. You know, getting pissed at him for being there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that. You know, and luckily he wasn't like, dude, fuck you. You know, but I'm just like, dude, I don't want you there like that without me, like if I can help it, you know. Just because, I'm not the type, like, I'm not a micromanager.
Right.
But I'm not the type to, like, just let go and just have you do it. And now, you know, you're just running this whole thing. So, I mean, I definitely like to help, like, you know, luckily I don't have allergies and stuff. So, like, I'm still trimming with them. Like, I'm still doing everything. They're, you know, hard pressed for me not to be around or something like it. Right. You know, so, it's cool. So we got Adam over to the retail spot. We hired Becky for Shop Chronic. She manages Shop Chronic. She's also a gardener chick. She does a great job and assists with Hive. So like those two coming on and helping were like definitely huge. Just as far as like staffing.
Yeah, you picked your staff extremely well. Like I haven't had anyone tell me anything bad.
Yeah, I mean I definitely like made sure that like the people are the priority. Right. You know, that's like the big thing, because along with the product and the experience, the people, like in the customer service of course, but the way that the people feel when they leave, you know, is like huge. So, you know, we know our regulars' names. Like, you know, you come in, Adam probably knows your name. You know, he's gonna say, hey, what's up, Bill? How you doing? You know, and it's just that like thing where it's like, we're serving hundreds of people a day, but we're still remembering your name.
It's impressive, because it's because they care.
Right, and that's like our thing is like, if we don't care about them, then I mean, what do we care about the money? Like, that's like the thing where maybe some of the stores or companies that you're seeing going wrong, like, I get it's cliche, like care about the money, but like there's plenty of money. Like I don't know, like we make more money by giving away money than we do by trying to be stingy with our money.
You can't hoard it, you know what I mean? And it's like, treat people right, they spend twice as much, which isn't a problem, but it's like they're just giving you more love. It's like, thank you, you know what I mean? And then they bring 5 people in, and you know, it's just like, what's a t-shirt, you know what I mean? What's a hat?
Those things are like, those things, when you're a cannabis company and if you're doing it right, those things bring you back way more than the $7.50 you paid for that shirt or whatever. Like in the past like 13 months, we've given away thousands of shirts. Like you see people walking around with Hive shirts on, but those people came back and spent that shirt times 10.
Right.
So
and doesn't it blow you away when you just see a random person wearing your shirt?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Even when I give it away, I'm like, I don't expect them to wear it.
Right. Yeah. You think it goes into the closet.
And then you're just like walking around. You're like, what the?
Yeah, we were in like downtown Portland last week, and some dude came around the corner with a Hive shirt on. I was like, oh damn.
Did you say anything to him?
No, I was just like took it in for 1 sec, you know. But yeah, I mean that's a big thing. Is like, you know, our 20% veteran discount.
Hell
like,
yeah.
That's just like, dude, we can give that because that veteran's gonna bring 5 non-veterans. We're not gonna lose that 20%, and it's all gonna equal out. You know what I mean? Plus, like, we're hooking up our dudes, like the veterans. You know what I mean? We're hooking up those that did their best to hook us up.
And some of those dudes, they won't talk about it, but I mean, if it helps,
right? For sure.
What do you need it at? You know, you have a you know, tried and true veteran that's been through some shit. He's gonna have a conversation with you, and you're probably just, dude, all right, what do we need to do?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because it helps. You know, I've obviously met some people, and it's like sometimes they just need a little break to learn to have a second to think about how to deal with some of this stuff.
Right. Yeah, I agree because they're so especially veterans with PTSD.
That's what I'm saying.
And you know, they're so wound up or bound up in their head.
And they're tough. They feel like they have to be tough. You know what I mean?
And ignore it or push it to the side.
Another look on things for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that, you know, and so. Yeah, that's a big thing, like obviously being a veteran and, you know, no, I didn't deploy, but like some of my really close friends and then of course like my, you know, the people I was in the Army with, I saw struggle with PTSD and was firsthand there, you know what I mean? So it's like I definitely don't have and wasn't affected by PTSD, but I was affected through the people who were, you know, in a good way. In the sense I saw that I wanted to pursue helping veterans, period. Right. You know, just by experiencing a breakdown or, you know, by one of my friends. So, yeah, that's like a big thing that we try to do. You know, we've donated thousands of dollars to the Maine Veterans Project. You know, we've donated hundreds of dollars to New England Veterans Alliance. Just a lot of things that keep boosting, you know what I mean? Because that's the big thing, like we've been given the opportunity to like give back, you know, and so it's like one of those things. When we give everybody 20% off in like this sick ass bag on our birthday, like those in, you know, gift cards and all these things, like a lot of business people look at that as an immediate loss, you know, and like maybe it's because I didn't like go to traditional business school that like I don't see those things, like I don't see the loss there. I see an investment. So where other people are hoarding their money and like just thinking that like saving that or whatever, you know, not that I'm spending all my money on t-shirts and hats, but that money is an investment, you know, into those people, you know, that we're giving those things to.
That, and it's a huge, and like in the back of our minds, we're always thinking like, is this really going to work? Is this really going to work? You're celebrating a year. You're celebrating a whole year, and now you know it works. You're celebrating. You're happy. You're just like, you know what? Today, they're just getting shit. You know what I mean? Just because you're like, a year ago, I didn't know if this was going to work. It's working. Oh, for You know what I mean? It's like, dude. You know? It's, that's got to be, you know. When you posted online before your doors opened, I was like, dude, he's sitting there right now and he can't even believe himself. I was like, this is the vision that came from Gardner,
right? Yeah, you know? For sure.
Not Gardner, but before that.
Of course it was always to have, you know, a retail cannabis store, a dispensary, like who in a sense didn't want that, you know,
that's legal and crushing. You know what I mean? It's like it came through the vision. It was like these little things, and then you're like, maybe, and then everyone's always asking, dude, is it worth it? Really? Like, and then you're like, yes, it's worth it. Just shut up. And you know what I mean? You just try to keep them out of your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then finally, it's like, oh, sweet, Bobby, I knew you'd always do it.
Right, for sure. And so on that, like last month we gave away $35,000 in discounts.
Hell yeah.
So it's like, dude, I would put those numbers up against any other store in the state, like no doubt. There's no doubt, because but then people are like, well, how, well, it's because we're like investing in the people. We're not just taking their money and being like, see you soon.
Right.
We're giving money back to them and then saying, see you when you're ready.
Right.
So it's like, it's just one of those things, like it's different business plans, it's different angles of attack. It's just my angle of attack is not like take and don't give, because I feel like I know what happens long term.
And one of the most impressive things you said to me was, I was like, here's this, do whatever you want, I don't care, whatever you want to do with it, you bought it, it's yours to do whatever you please, you know what I mean? And I said, what did you price it at? And you're like, well, I priced it at what you priced it at. I don't want to piss any of your customers off. I want them to come in, and I want to treat them the way they should be treated. When you thought that maybe you might be able to get a little bit more for it. That just says that right there. You know what I mean? Because all those people are coming in, and some of them come in just be like, oh, I wonder if he's gouging. You know what I mean? And then they're going to come back and complain or whatever.
Right.
But they're like, dude, it's a way better place. It's a cool store. It's better than trying to track me down. And they're like, there's other stuff there, and the people treat me great, and it's awesome. And I was like, well, it sounds like this is great. This is perfect. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, the money, of course, is made on the product, but like you don't have to make your money like that on the product. You know what I mean? Like, we are blessed to have capital and have an in-house cultivation facility where we can produce decently priced flower, and so therefore, if you want the deal, you can get capital, and we're totally happy to give you that.
Right.
So that's like our benefit there, where we don't have to be like trying to tax people on stuff. So, and then of course with your stuff, it's like you're from the area, so people are already patients of yours or fans of your cannabis. So it's like we definitely don't want to all of a sudden give them this price jump that then you have to try to stand behind as like the producer of the product and then justify on your end.
Right.
To me, it's like, it's just way easier. Plus, you're obviously fair price. You're not gouging anybody. So in that sense, it's like we don't need to. Like, like that's the thing. You don't need to make all the money. Leave some in their pockets, like for next time or for dinner. So in that sense, that's why like our rosin is the cheapest price.
Totally.
And stuff like that, because like, okay, yes, we got to make our money and keep the doors open. Like that does cost money, and it costs money to do things for the patients, but we don't need to take it all. Right. Like it's all good. There's plenty of it.
Yeah. Right.
And it's coming anyways.
And most of the time it's like, when I was out in Colorado buying weed, it was like, I expect this to be $40. It only cost me $25. I'm still spending the whole thing. That's just what I go in the store expecting to spend whatever is in my pocket. If I don't like any weed, well, I'm buying something else. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're there. I brought 60. I'm not going home with any money probably.
Oh, a lot of people are like that. They'll be like, well, I got 60, and I'm like, oh shit, throw in one of these candy bars. And that's what they want. And it's not even upselling.
20% happier. You know what I mean? And it's like, they should be, because some of these places you walk out of and $60 for this. Yeah. It's like some people, it gives them just that amount, that just enough break to deal with some shit. Like, everyone is dealing with bullshit all the time.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like, if they can get 2 joints from you instead of 1 there, it's like good.
Right. Good. Yeah, it's great.
Good. It's like helping people get through whatever they're getting through. And for some people, it's just like, hey, they had a little more fun another time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It is crazy to see. And so the biggest thing that we say, like Adam and I and Becky, is that this experience could be the best experience of their day. It could be the only experience of their day. Right. So if whether they came in happy or sad, if we can make the one or the best experience of their day, like, that's it. Like, they're coming back. Right. Like, there's no doubt. And so we definitely focus on that experience, and just from A to Z, from when you get out the door, the best that we can. Right. Of course. I mean, the past since COVID, we've definitely gotten super busy. Like it's like a line out the door. So it makes it harder for us to give each individual patient all the time that we want to, and also respect people's day and time and all that type of thing. But yeah, the customer experience still within that is like our most important thing.
I had people ask me a little while back, like, what's Bobby doing? Is he shutting down? Is he for this whole thing? And I said, Bobby's gonna do 100% what he's allowed to do. And they're like, well, he could just do a drive-through. And I said, this is more than convenience for them right now. They're not. You guys aren't used to convenience. You're gonna do what you can, and that's why you did exactly what you were allowed to do safely, obviously. But like, some people just shut down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, some people need this stuff. Maybe it's only 1 out of 5, but
there's for real patients, no doubt.
No doubt.
Like, there's some for real patients that
And
definitely.
now they're dealing with 10 times more stress, and you're gonna say no?
Right. Yeah, that's a tough call. I mean,
So hard.
To each store owner their own. Totally. Like, everybody's in the middle of a startup business, forming their policies. It's a pandemic nobody's dealt with. I don't want to say I'm a risk taker, like I'm willing to risk people's health, but I'm definitely like let's not be hasty about this, because people A, rely on us, and B, like, we rely on us. So of course we implemented like the curbside stuff and everything else. Every major store, we followed the protocols of what major stores and whatnot were doing, because that's like they're doing the bare minimum in a sense that they know is safe, know. And so, not that we're trying to do the bare minimum, but we don't need to invest a bunch of money into things that a few months later they tell us maybe wasn't what they thought, or what the case may be.
Right.
So we also trust our patients to make the right decisions.
Right. Totally.
Like, if you're sick, don't come in. If you're sick, order curbside, that type of thing.
Send somebody else if you can, if you know somebody else that can get it legally, obviously. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah. But like, as far as the other stores closing, like, we gained 25% customer base over these 3 months. So the big thing is, like, we were forced to take on other people's patients, like, which we obviously with open arms, even though we never planned on consuming that much product.
Right.
But by shutting down their stores, they push their patients to us. I personally try not to necessarily, like, directly compete with the stores in our area, because I just feel like we're a small community in this area, and competition, yes, I get it, is healthy and great for everything, but I hate to force our patients to be in the middle of some like competition. So I try not to create that atmosphere, because that sucks, dude, when Lowe's and Home Depot are battling over the John Deere mowers this year. Like, you're just like annoyed with it.
It's like, I just want to get one, dude.
Right. Like,
I don't
quit.
care.
Like, so that's kind of like the thing. I try not to do that because of how small we are. We don't have a huge population here.
Right.
It's not even Portland at all. So in that sense, I try to steer clear, from that type of thing.
You've always not gotten involved in any of the drama in like the industry. Basically, you like rely on me to tell you, like, hey, guess who's fighting? Yeah. You've always been like, yeah, whatever. It's like, you directly dealt with the people, the patients, the customers. Yeah. The rest of it, you've always been like, whatever. They're gonna say whatever, no matter what.
Pretty much, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like in high school, I was like the class gossip in the fucking superlatives. I was the class gossip. I definitely like to chat and like be in the middle of things. And like, in the real world, probably the Army, I definitely realized that's not it. Like, so like, I focus on progressing and stuff. I try not to focus on like the internet bullshit or, the haters or whatever the case may be, because again, like with like the whiz and the burner thing, I know I like paid attention, you know, to how they responded and how they handled certain things like haters and, you know, people trying to bring them down and things like that. And so it just kind of like was a cue, like, okay, these dudes have whatever million followers and can ignore all these people just shitting on them for no reason, then I definitely can, you know, ignore Billy Bob and his bullshit. Yeah, for sure. So I just blocked that out completely so that I would never drag my company's like name through the mud by being like a internet fucking talker.
Yeah, and really putting the pressure on. You know what I mean? Like, once you talk the shit, if you don't step up and you're the best, then, I mean, people are gonna know you're foolish.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I was like, you know what, instead of talking shit and instead of doing this, I'm just gonna like keep, like, I guess as you were saying, upping the bar. Right. You know, I'm just gonna do it without even talking about it.
It's like, okay, dude, you think I grow shitty weed? Well, your mom shops here, so.
Right, your mom shops here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now your aunt does too.
Yeah.
And I just gave her a free pre-roll.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, it was really kind of like focus on, you know, continuously upping that bar so that without even saying shit, people are chasing you. Right. You know, without even saying shit, your store in Chelsea considered, you know, one of the top stores in the whole state.
Guaranteed.
And we have 3,300 citizens in my town. Right. Like, you know, it's just like, it has nothing to do with the location, you know? Like, no. I mean, it does. Don't get me wrong. Like, do I think I could be successful on 194 in Pittston? I think I'd make some money, but not, like, have the traffic. Right. It does matter, but just in the sense of I didn't need to be in Augusta. People drive to Hive. Right. Like they say, like the patients say, Hive is worth the drive. Like, we don't make that shit up. They do. Like, they come in with all these sayings. So it's like, it's not necessarily about being on the main drag with all of the, you know, exposure that you need. It's not about paying that super high rent, you know, to get that downtown area. Yeah. It's about providing what they want, and they're willing to drive to an extent.
It's pretty impressive with how busy everybody is right now with everything going on, and like they'll carve out hour, 2 hours sometimes to drive, and sometimes longer, like a Saturday.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I know that happens. Like,
oh yeah,
Southern Maine sometimes. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, people are making. That's like, when do you drive 6 hours to get anything?
Oh, for sure.
It's got to be worth it.
We get the Bangor people, the Caribou people, the Portland people, the Booth Bay people. It's like blows our mind, dude.
It's insane.
Yeah, and the, you know, like amount of people that have just signed our wall. You know, thousands of people have signed our wall from everywhere because of the fact that Shop Chronic's in there, and we were letting people 21 and under, or 21 and over. Shit. Over for show. In and through and out the exit, they were signing the wall. So like, we have people from Australia, we have people from England, we have like so many people, you know, that just walked through that signed the wall. Like, it's really like a crazy thing to see.
It is wild.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we couldn't do it for the past 4 months, and it's still like chock full. So it's just like, yeah, those things are like, okay, we're like doing this, like, you know, we're doing this right, and we're upping the bar, and other people are hating and not able to keep up. So, you know, like, it's one of those things where like, you got to keep doing it, you know. And so continuously raising the bar is like the hardest for sure. Right. Because I mean,
how far are we going to take it? You know what I mean?
You know, but like, you can't stop. No. You know, because also like, so one thing that made us popular was our parties. Like, we have the parties, and we give you 10 to 20% off. We give you a goodie bag. We give you pre-rolls. We give you gear. We do whatever, you know, the fuck we can to make you happy on those days. So like, just doing that and showing the love back, like, grew every time. You know, like, at first we had, you know, 30 gift bags, and then 60, then 100, then 120, then 180, you know, and it's like not enough, you know, and it's like crazy, you know. You're like, holy shit, dude, you know,
where are they coming from?
Right, where are they coming from? Like, and like, why are they here? You know, I mean, we know, like, but like we're still in that, like, damn,
because you guys aren't overly aggressive in your face on any social media, so it's pretty crazy. Like, it's just must be spreading, you know. I mean, everyone's at a
word
party,
of mouth, man, for sure.
You know, 8 people, 10 people, you know, and when people in Maine have a good experience, they want to talk about it.
For sure.
It's like there's not a whole lot going on around here, you know what I mean? So it's like they see Bud at the gas station. He's like, hey,
okay, you know? Well, yeah, and that's
they want to be the dude that knows, you know?
Yeah,
that's
knows where
thing.
the good shit is. Yeah, and that's where those hats and everything, like I was talking about, come in. That's the conversation starter. Bud's at the gas station with the Hive hat on,
right? That
he got for spending $200.
And he just like, look at what I have, Fred. You know, look at all this shit, and it's like, well, I'm going now.
Yeah,
you want to go back?
And that's like the biggest thing is that branding thing that a lot of these like companies kind of forget about. Is like that is a big thing, you know, like having your website and like all these different things, and even like the dudes who make it forget about that,
right?
In case. So one thing that I've done for like 10 years I always do is I buy websites. Like I own like a shit ton of websites, like hundreds of websites just sitting there, easyteas.com, whatever. Yeah, I could keep naming them, but anyways, so what I'll do is I'll go through company or whatever that I like, and I'll just look for these domains that they don't own. And so the Jungle Boys didn't own Jungle Boys Full Melts or Jungle Boys Rosin and like 7 others. And so like I know those dudes through Burner from when I went to Chalice with them in 2017. I went to Chalice with Lonnie and Burner, and that was like for sure like the like coolest experience ever. Ever. Like so sick, like, you know, just the whole thing. But anyways, so dudes find out like that I own these websites, and they're like obviously like, oh fuck, like, you know, they didn't buy their URLs. That's like day one shit. Right, you know what I mean? If it's available, it's day one shit. And I bought these URLs for $5.99, you know. And so like I'm like holding them, hoping someday they'll want to buy them from me, also making it so other people can't rip them off and like buy their sites and sell fake Jungle Boy shit, you know. Like I'm just sitting on them, somebody owns them, that's not bad, you know. And so yeah, dude, but they ended up paying me $7,000 a piece for them. Damn. Yeah. And so it was like sick because like I taught them a lesson on branding. Like, you could have bought these for goddamn $12, dude. Right. And now you're paying me $14,000. Damn. Yeah. That's wild. So it's like, you know, maybe you should have just gone ahead and bought them. But it was cool because then, like, you know, then I go on to the Instagrams, Jungle Boys Full Melts and stuff, and click on the URL, and sure enough, you know, they've switched it over to like the one that they bought from me. No shit. And it was just like, I saw these like hundreds of websites I bought that I haven't made shit off from all. Like, at least, you know, it's now gonna pay off someday. Yeah, at least now I made some money back, you know. But it was just cool because it was like these people that have built something up big, and I thought for sure like they would have thought of that. Right. And they didn't. It's, you know, it's crazy what people don't think of. Especially in this industry, there's so many people that don't know success, and they're just getting it. Right. And that's the big thing. Like, I mean, yeah, dude, I didn't or don't know success. Like, I don't know, you know, I didn't have... You're learning. Like, yeah, I didn't have a successful dad that was a whatever, right, you know, or anything like that. You weren't surrounded by him and his friends where you could ask, what the heck's that? You or just listen. Listen, 100%. You know what I mean? There was nobody to listen to, really, in that sense. So, yeah, I mean, branding is huge, and I caught on to it, like, pretty early, which made it a little easier for me to really be, like, you know, in your face. You're doing it in-house. You can tell what people want to see or would want. Oh, for sure. Yeah. We try to, do as much in-house as we can, just because, I mean, we're not waiting on shit. But the other issue is that takes labor. So before I came here, I was fucking heat sealing and labeling, you know, Mylar bags. Still doing. Yeah. I still do every bit, anything that needs to be done, from mopping to it doesn't matter if somebody else is on a task that's more important for them to be doing. Like, I'm gonna do the task that needs to be done. It's not even like that. Like, I gotta work. Like, you know what I mean? I gotta work. So if it's mopping, dude, and it needs to get done, I know it needs to get done, so I'm doing it.
It's like, it's one of the things that's important to me is like you make it as perfect as you can, and there's no excuse not to clean it.
Oh, for sure.
If there's one thing off, you're like, oh yeah, that trim looks like shit, I'm not sweeping today, like
Right.
It looks like shit anyways. But if it's pristine, you're like, all right, he's busy doing this, I gotta clean this, because there's no excuse to just shut off the light and go home now.
And when I go to other stores, and I go to any store, I'm just one of those anal people that just does pay attention to shit.
Oh, picture's crooked.
Right, dude, it sucks.
You don't have the time?
It's not a
Really?
blessing. Yeah, so it's kind of one of those things that we're touching up our paint every 6 months.
Damn,
we're
yeah.
doing things. I'm not like repainting the whole place, but
Right.
any little chips and stuff, like we're painting because it's all part of the experience.
Taking a dab, getting picky.
Right, yeah.
Whatever
and
you need.
Yeah, whatever it is, but it's mainly just kind of a thing where it's like that person who's coming in for the first time today deserves what that person who came in last year for the first time got. Just because they didn't get to make it doesn't mean that they don't deserve that same experience, even if it's down to having decent paint.
Right.
Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
It keeps everything like fresh,
Right.
in more ways than one.
Yeah, and keeps you motivated because you're not working in like a shitty spot. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
No
if-
excuses, really.
Yeah, if we were in like just your attic right now without this nice pine board and all these things, like it's just a whole different experience when things are nice.
Or if we could be in our very first grows right now doing this.
It'd be cramped.
That'd be epic.
Yeah, for
It'd be
sure.
horrible, though.
It'd be hot as fuck and humid with any sort of I don't want to go in mine.
Damn. That
Yeah.
smell everyone used to smell when you walked by any grow back in the
Oh,
day, it was
yeah,
like
dude.
that.
Hey,
Pot musk.
yeah,
It's like a fog of weed. Like everyone bought 48 lights and 2 ACs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 2 mini splits. Yeah,
And
Yeah,
they're
I
like,
mean-
why is this working? Doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
dude.
Dick at grow store told me that I could fire 100 lights under these.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, it really was hard because there was not a lot of info.
No knowledge.
to go.
Try
it was
it.
just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those mini splits weren't made for what we were doing. They were residential units. Just-
No, and then like Dakin under the radar puts out a commercial unit, and they
Sky Air.
and they try to like cater it to guys putting it in server rooms. But this is when the pot boom is going crazy, and they're like, oh, these guys need something that run during the winter. They knew the weed was going to take those units because it's the perfect size, 36,000 BTUs, and it's a commercial unit. And then
Yeah, it's
every grower, they started
hell.
hearing about commercial AC. They're what? We don't have to use the one for the house anymore?
Yeah, we're not gonna have to jerry rig this thing. And now it's like so
Water
much
chillers.
better.
You got
like-
guys.
Oh yeah, water chillers, the whole deal. Just trying to make anything work.
You got guys using those commercial chillers that they use for like Hannaford now.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like these huge commercial units you can crawl in.
Yeah,
You know,
and
you
it's like came so far.
So far, and there's like so much stuff, and you're constantly thinking, is that overkill? You know what I mean? Because you go to the point where it's overkill, and then it's
Right,
like, why did I
you're
do
wasting.
that? It makes wasting, and then there's that fine line,
Yeah.
efficiency, all that thing.
right,
it's
because
just
you can
constantly
go too big if you got the money. For
you're
sure.
you're constantly battling. Like, what if I switch to this?
Yeah.
And it's like huge investment, constantly going back and forth, on it, on probably everything, even the store sometimes.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it's pretty much so. I mean, pretty much at this point, it's like we're like, what's the future? Like we just got in a new guy in the retail spot, and Adam's going to move up to manager, and so now we have like the store complete as far as like staff.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, we got, the frost walls poured for the building that will move capital from Vassalboro to next door in Chelsea. And we're waiting on the drainage plan to pour the slab for that and then hopefully erect the building. It's like 11,500 square feet on the bottom floor, 11,500 on the top floor. So it should be plenty big for what we need.
I'm guessing you're gonna like post progress and stuff.
Yeah,
because that would
for
be
sure.
cool to see, like kind of like your display grow.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are never going to get to that point.
Right, and we never thought we would. You know, we didn't know, man. Like, I was hand watering like a few years ago, in the sense of like for our scale. You know,
Right.
like hand watering
Right.
took up hours. And
Hours.
And you know now, you know, we use dosatrons, and you know we have this huge RO system that's commercial. Like, it's just so much. It's sweet. It was like, you know, of course, the dream, all of the cool toys and setting them up, and
Right.
you know, being your own plumber, you know, and figuring out loads for pumps and just different things like that. You know, that like is just expanding your knowledge. You know, me being like the head dude, the owner, the whatever you want to call it, me being the dude, I end up learning, you know, about hash making from Joey. You
Right.
know, I end up learning about kitchen stuff from Joey, or I end up learning the grow stuff, and I know all the retail stuff. And you know, now we're getting into edibles. We're about to launch an edible brand called Hedibles, which will be, you know, at first the in-house brand, and then eventually we'll, you know, kind of feather out into stores. Hopefully at least get it down to Sensimilla. My buddy Ryan owns that store. He also is the Rugged Roots guy. He's a veteran from the Marine Corps, and so I work really closely with him just because he's another veteran, and he's a really good mentor also. He's definitely giving me suggestions and insight in times of you know, kind of confusion, that has really helped me make the better decision. If it wasn't for him, we'd probably still be branding our flower under Hive instead of Capital.
Right.
So, you know, it's just little stuff like that he has given us. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a taking from a lot of different places. You know what I mean? To get that inspiration.
Right. Yeah. Totally. That's that'll be sweet. I mean, it's like trying to hit every aspect of the game.
Oh, for sure.
Nail it all down.
Vertically integrate the best that you can without taking on too much. Like, I'll never have like a lab. You know, I'll never do like the blasting thing.
Right.
You know, like the solventless with Top Secret. Like, that's as far as like I want to go, and like that type of thing. I work with Randy at Pamo Lab. That's, like I said, my childhood best friend. So like he's got it. Right. I couldn't ask for a better guy to be providing my patients with, you know, clean extracts. So, you know, but otherwise, yeah, definitely vertically integrate. Like, that's the way to control the quality the best, you know, and the price. Right. So then I can, you know, whatever, if I'm buying something at $6, but now I'm creating it, I can sell it at $8, you know, instead of having to sell it at $12 or whatever the case may be to pay for it. Right. You know, so,
or, you know, sell it at $5 if you need to. Right. Or whatever you want. Whatever the margin is, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Sell it for the right price instead of like what, you know, a middle kind of, which I love all the brands that I work with, don't get me wrong, like, you know, love them for sure. Like, I try to support our brands. That's like a big thing, especially when we could gather and congregate, you know, having parties that included those brands so that the patients can meet the person growing Lodestar's flower, or they can meet the Gas Pack Boys, or they can meet the family behind Reaper Ridge. You know, those things are important to us because, yeah, I mean, it's cool to just smoke weed and, like, you know, get it from the store and go home. But, like, when you meet that dude that was, like, created his soil from, you know, scratch, like, or whatever, like, that's way more powerful. And that's why, you know, where we could have just sold our own flower and maybe we would have been okay. Like, a key thing to Hive is, like, being the hub. You know, like, the hive is where all of the bees go to get the honey. So, like, our hive is the hub for cannabis, you know, like, whether it's the branch from down south or up north, you know, whether it's whatever, you know, the products, like, we are the hive, literally, you know, for the patients of Kennebec County. You know, that's the way that we look at it.
The state too, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And so with, like, the future thing, that's, like, kind of the next step. I definitely have my eye on a second store.
More hives.
Yeah, because I know that, like, we can provide for some of these people that aren't being provided for.
Right.
You know,
or correctly. Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
Not maybe there isn't nothing, but it's not the way that they deserve. You
Right.
know? So yeah, that's like the big thing is creating another store with another experience that can match the flagship store's experience, you know, while being able to reliably control the quality, you know, for both stores and their inventory.
It'd be a crazy thing if you could do another Hive in a town wherever, and hire people from that, you know, that graduated from that town. Imagine that would be really cool.
Yeah, for sure, to keep it like that, because
maybe have your manager, but
and right, and that is and that was definitely something that we were proud of course, having all of our gardener people over there, and then supporting the community where you're at is huge. Like, you know, whether it's by hiring people or giving back, you know, in different ways, whether it's the food pantries, you know, donations to the schools, right, you know, that they can use that directly on things that they need instead of what is just given to you for the budget. You know, just different things about that are super rewarding, way more rewarding than the extra zero in the bank account.
Oh, 100%, because for so long you go meet somebody and you're the guy who grows weed, you're the scumbag. Oh, you know what I mean? But now, let's build hey Bobby, let's build a playground over there. Right. They don't have one. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's the scumbag?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like that's kind of a lot of it for me too. You know, like I thought it'd be cool to put up a greenhouse for a school on a piece of property that you like a couple stores or people bought in the industry, grow all their vegetables for the year, and there you go.
Boom.
Yeah.
I think that would be dope.
Stuff like that. You know what I mean?
It's and then you're enriching like child's lives by like giving them real food and giving them like the opportunity to eat healthy. Yeah, that's
you take your kids that you put in the challenge room or whatever you want to call it, that supposedly have ADHD, that just can't sit still. You put them out there, you know, give them a shot. You know, you see who they really are.
Yeah.
Some of those kids are extremely talented.
They just need to be exposed to the right things.
I'm not sitting in a chair learning U.S. history as a kid. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
A teenage boy. What does he want to do? Break shit, build shit,
hammer down on a 4-wheeler.
Yeah, something. Yeah. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree. And so I think it's a responsibility of, you know, companies like mine to do things like that the best that we can. You know, like I know our company has those ideals. You know, just trying to give back. Period. You know, so I mean, second store, hopefully we can enrich another community with, you know, a dope store with good access to products, a good veteran discount. One thing that nobody really knows about that we're going to try to do this summer is we're going to have a little event at the Chelsea store, like a drive-in movie type deal. We got some inflatable screens we're going to put on the roof, and we're gonna have High Roller Lobster and some other food vendors out there, and it's just gonna be a ticket thing where you can come watch an old stoner movie on the big screens, hang out. You know, we'll offer curbside service and stuff out there for purchasing for patients and all that type of thing. We're gonna do that at Chelsea this summer. We're gonna have one night, like a drive-in theater.
That's so sick.
Thing. Yeah. So it's just another
fundraiser or just fun.
Just fun, just an experience to get everybody out and, you know, potentially maybe meet some new people, but also just like, you know, we don't have drive-ins around here, and we'll offer an old school stoner movie, and it'll be cheap admission, limited to however many people we're allowed to have in that space, and just another experience, you know, just another thing to raise the bar to show patients like what they deserve. Like,
totally.
You know, like, hey, you guys like spend all this money with us, we're gonna invest some back into a movie night, and
right,
you know, walk around all dressed up with the friggin' popcorn and shit, and like make you laugh, you know. And so that's like where I'm going with like the money, not just straight to the bank.
That's sick. That's I was gonna say it would be hard, but that makes a whole lot of sense to me.
You just drive in, man, and then like we'll bring out whatever you want to buy. I'm not saying you can smoke, but I'm not saying you can't. that type of thing. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Like, these are like the days when
you're grown up.
You can do these things.
Right.
Like I tell every single vendor, like, because I got some younger dudes that like I kind of mentor as far as like giving them guidance. They're getting a lot of popularity, they're getting a lot of sales. I'm trying to help them go down the right path, and I try to tell them, like, dude, these are the good old days. You don't understand it right now, but these are the days that you'll talk about that we were the least restricted, where we got to have the most fun,
tons of fun,
things were the most gray, and so you have to realize that right now and take advantage of that and have fun things and incorporate the patients and build those bonds, because once they say whatever that prevents me from having a little drive-in movie theater thing at my store, they're going to say there will end up being a rule to where we can't do that anymore. Yeah. It's like that with anything fun. That's why it always seems like on the come up, people are doing the most and like the most involved is because they're the least restricted.
Right.
Once you get big, the eyes are on you. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. So that's a big thing. These are the good old days. So like every store has to enjoy like now. Like 100%.
Because things are really good.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's sick.
Yeah.
Especially before like COVID, before restricting like the amount of people and like where people could be. Like, dude, we're doing great. Like, it's awesome right now. Every store that is legally operating should have smiles ear to ear.
Caregivers too.
Right, caregivers
Patients too.
Right, everybody. Like, remember 2019, because this shit was dope.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's what I tell everybody. Like, enjoy that shit right now. We need to have fun right now. We need to serve the patients the best we can right now, because it'll all develop and change for sure. So that's what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to enjoy and have fun.
And with the group of people that are doing this in the state right now, like kind of like, I'm not going to say the OGs, but like the dudes that have had a license for a while, that have been here for a while, they're all good dudes. They could all hang out and we could all have a blast.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Just chill out.
Yeah. Don't make it the competition thing, because you're gonna cut yourself out of a future relationship.
And I don't know why we're not getting together and doing a dinner where, every caregiver, come on, let's get over it, can buy you and your old lady a ticket for $200 and raise some serious money for something.
Right.
That's
and put
important.
It back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be so sick. You know?
And I mean, I think there are like people trying to create that, but it is hard because, like we say, there are 25-year-old dudes doing this and there are 65-year-old dudes doing this, and as we know with everything else in the world, sometimes those two views don't match up.
That, and the people that see these dudes putting the bar up, and they don't want to cut those little things out of their life that we have.
Right.
They want to go to the bar at 3, no matter what.
Yeah. They have their routines that aren't necessarily productive that they keep.
And I'm not living 2 years ago, because we can't get away with that anymore. We can't do that schedule. It's like I said, we're getting to the point where it's almost an NFL.
Right.
We're all just trying out still. We're almost
for
there.
Sure. Yeah. You think you're gonna get drafted.
Yeah, you gotta keep working out.
Yeah, for sure. You might be signed, but you can still get dropped.
Yeah, it's not time for partying and drinking.
No, not
it's
at
like,
all.
It's go time. And like you said, it's the best time right now.
Oh, right
for
now.
everything.
Oh, 100%.
There's guys that, and you see it more than anybody. Grow game has been taken to another level all across the board by a lot of dudes.
Oh, for sure.
Concentrates, rosin, all that stuff. When has it been better?
No, it
quality.
Hasn't. It couldn't. It's like, because all these dudes are racing too. So like, all the hash makers are racing to be the most consistent, to make the most yield. Same with the concentrate guys, the BHO dudes. They're all trying to be the fastest and have the most yield. So, I mean, yeah, the bar has been put up there for those things.
And it's like some of the time, some of these guys that are getting mad about the corporate thing, like out of state people coming in, it's like if you take a minute and put your product somewhere instead of wholesaling it, put it into a store, support the store, you could fight these things.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But if you're wholesaling to Johnny in New York, that you can't. It's just you. You need to have you, the store, all the people, the store. Then there's a group of you, not just one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because you have 8 people that want to fight. You know, I have 4. You know, it's now everybody's linked up, and you're like, hey, we need to, rather than the other game. So a lot of these guys that are bitching, they just got to get a hold of people like you and prove it. Bobby, hey, my name's so-and-so. This is tested. Here it is. Drop it off. Look at it. Look over it. If you want some of it, just call me. You're gonna call.
Absolutely.
You're gonna call.
Oh, for sure.
You know.
Yeah, especially if you're a decent person.
Introduce yourself right off the bat. You know, hey, is the owner around? Is the person in charge of buying weed around? I got some weed. This is who I am. Go in and treat it like you're trying to sell something to somebody that you take it serious.
Oh, absolutely.
Not every guy that owns a store wants to sit down and smoke 18 joints with you.
No way, dude. I don't got the time, dude. I gotta move. Like
here's what I got to offer. Call me if it works.
Yeah, and I mean, I will call you if it works for sure. But come with the price and don't change it once I buy it the first time.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't because there's a drought. Guess who's getting screwed?
Right. Me, because I won't screw the patient. Because I won't raise my prices on my patients. So like, because I'm like a stand-up respectable dude for the people that I serve, I can easily be a victim to price gouging because people want to. They don't understand that this time last year when I was selling their cannabis, they were doing just fine and building buildings and expanding and buying new lights and was totally great. But now that there's more of a demand, which yes, I understand supply and demand, however, like now that there's a demand and no price to produce has gone up, they want this extra money like they never had it.
If anything's gone down.
Right. If anything, it's gone down.
Yeah.
Because
and if it's not going down, you need to be learning. But it's stuff like that that's crazy to me, you know. And there's the switch up on the other side too, you know. So that some people, there's always a switch up. There's always, you know, here's the goal, here's the goal, here's the goal. And what I like about you and your store is you guys don't settle. You know what? There's no good enough. You're not just gonna be like, oh, he gave me this at a good price, so
right.
We're gonna put our name on it. You're like, no, dude, this is the bar. You know, this is that you come in here. There's nothing bad. There's nothing bad in your store.
Right. Yeah. We try. I mean, that's like the big thing is sourcing everything, keeping up with it, especially when like I said, we gained 25% like amount of patients. So that's like a lot for us. You know, it's hundreds. So like, to keep up with that, keep the quality, like it's a definite challenge. Like,
it's a challenge.
Because you don't want to just take on this guy that has subpar weed because it's a little cheaper and you can get it out the door. Like that's going to affect you for months. Yeah,
and when you sell that jar, you know what I mean? They're advertising for you.
Right.
When you give them cheaper weed or better priced weed than most places, they're sharing, handing their jar to their friend, and it's like, oh, MedCard's only what, $50?
I'll get that.
Yeah, I'll get that for sure.
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
Yeah, I mean it is a word of mouth thing. Like a lot of these guys will sit on Instagram, like that is what's depositing into their bank. It's crazy. Like it drives me insane. I'm like, dude, how do you guys even have the time to sit on Instagram and like shit and repost shit and comment on shit? Like I don't know. I don't have that time.
Right.
Like, I mean, I definitely try to post the story and whatnot, like, as much as I can. But, like, you're not going to see me comment or really like shit because I'm, like, trying to make the next thing.
And you don't interact with people that are just bored.
Right. Yeah,
That's the big thing. It's like, you're that bored, dude. Would you want shrimp?
Right,
Let's make this legit. Let's make this legit.
For sure.
You know? And, like, some of these people that have comments on certain things, you know, it's like, you don't know what goes into it. You have no idea. You know, you go to 4, you go to 8 lights, you go all the way up. It's like every times light is like times harder.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and a lot of people don't understand what it takes to produce 25 to 50 pounds of weed a month.
Right.
They don't get it. It's like they want it all like they can do in their tent.
Yeah. On the couch at home, you know, watching whatever movie.
Yeah. It's like, dude, you're going to be able to grow 4 ounces better than I can grow 25 pounds any day of the week. Like, awesome. Save me some.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's like Right, that is the big difference. Is right. If I was just selling what I grew in my basement or whatever, at home, like of course it would all be top notch, trimmed, perfect, quality because
Did it myself.
Yeah, and it's also so controlled that like I couldn't possibly screw it up.
Right.
But yeah, when you're working in like a huge, 40 by 60 or whatever room, there's a lot of variables.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, and a lot of respect should be, like I can serve this amount of people, with good weed. Yeah, it's not as good sometimes as that dude that grows 4 ounces. Like I tell people that all the time. I can't grow that like you. You take the same thing I do and you do that and you put all your time into that. Like you're gonna kill it. But I wanna get out to more people. You know what I mean? You can't just do that when we're at the point that we're at. We're like, people use it, they like it. We need to produce for more than just ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
So that.
Yeah, I like
some of that.
Yeah, we're producing for a lot. I mean,
that's how you make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just you go into the dark land where people don't go, and you just innovate and build and give back, like you said. Like,
oh, for sure. That's like the big thing. Like, absolutely. It's just like the more you can give back.
I try to give back so much that sometimes I get denied.
Yeah. I hear you.
I tried to donate money to my kid's school for an auction, and they say, no, you can't. And I said, I thought you guys were broke.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
Yeah.
Does it matter? You know what I mean? I'm not giving you 4 pounds of weed.
Chelsea School said, hey, we're not one to deny money over here.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like, why should you? It's not dirty.
Yeah,
it's not dirty.
No, and it's with good intentions. Like, hey, I was like, I don't need any sort of credit.
My kids
like,
go there.
Credit's in my heart. I don't need you to tell anyone that me or Hive Medicinal gave any money. Like, that's not what it's about.
I don't think any teacher should be broke. It's too important of a job.
Oh, for sure.
I just want to help. You know what I mean? That's the only reason. Don't use my name. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You don't need that. Yeah, that's not how you get it.
It's like if you guys, it is nice sometimes when you see the money get put to work and you're like, okay, that's sweet. I'll do it again.
Yeah, let's do that again.
You know what I mean? But sometimes you do that and it's like, oh, threw that in a fire.
Yeah, damn, there goes that.
Events, charity events that people put on, you're like, geez, didn't even happen.
Yeah, where did that go? Yeah, but I mean, overall, it's like the intentions are
you gotta try.
Really what it's all about.
Yeah. It's cool.
Oh, yeah,
it's good.
Man. Yeah, I definitely happy to be on the show for sure. I'm hoping maybe we gave some people a little bit of a insight into how Hive really came into like fruition, and what we kind of stand for sure. I mean, yeah, we're definitely here for the vets and for the community. That's like the big thing. And
treating people good. And I think now maybe people will notice some of the things you do more. There's more of an explanation of oh, this is why. And now they're gonna be like, what? Now the pressure's on you. Like, what is he gonna do?
Yeah,
is he gonna do the drive-in thing?
Right.
Don't flake on that. And what's next? I like a giant pool party. I don't know.
That sounds
water
dope.
slides.
It depends on Auntie
Slip and
Janet
slide.
and what she lets us do.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
No, I mean I'm down and I want to do collaborations with Kushnok Brewing with their pizza and just different things like locally to incorporate like the Kennebec County community.
Right.
That's like the big thing.
Like that's what I want to do with this is have those local guys on. Like, why do you brew beer? What made you get into pizza? Like their pizza is good luck competing.
Right. Yeah. No, they're killing.
And their beer.
It's also the vibe.
Yeah.
Their whole thing. Like it's kind of like us. Like they have a whole vibe to them, and it attracts like certain people, and it's not really one certain type of people. It's
you're not going to leave upset. You're just not.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's it, man. Just like not focusing on the money and just focusing on the people because they bring the money.
Taking care of everybody. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about.
Oh yeah. Sweet, man. Thanks for having me on. Oh yeah.